Okay.
Okay. Hey, I know you guys are probably hearing me talking last time, but hey, what up, everybody? Yo, you ready for this? Your boy, Prophet, no longer Prophet. FyrBorne is born. Is that corny? That's corny. Okay, let's get this going. Okay, here we go.
Perfect.
Yo, what up, everybody? How's it going? Episode 19 of the Battlefield Show. My honored guest here. It's been a long time, Mr. FyrBorne. How you doing today?
Hello. I'm not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Yeah. We have a great little clip here I wanted to show you. FyrBorne just got finished playing EFT, and his good buddy just did this to him. Here, check this out real quick here.
Please tell me that you're running up on me.
I'm running behind you to gate 3.
Okay. I'm around the corner. That's it. No, motherfucker!
That's you?
Yes!
Oh my god. You didn't tell. You said you were behind me.
No. I did not. That's
Oh,
my life.
Fuck.
So there you go. To start off the show, Team Killer Falcon. Why? Why did you do this to
Why,
us?
Falcon? Why?
But I'm your host, Julian Janganu. I do a weekly Battlefield talk show podcast, however you want to call it. The only one on Twitch. So I'm taking it for myself. Since DICE and EA is not doing it no more, I'm going to start doing it because I really think Battlefield needs to be talked about. And it's just at one of those points in time where the state of the game is in desperate need of chit chat and understanding what's going on here. And a lot of people are new to the Battlefield, so I bring on really cool guests like FyrBorne, who's been an EA game changer, actually tested certain maps before we've even played them. So you'll get an interesting perspective on Battlefield and what it's all about. And tonight, FyrBorne, thank you again so much for accepting the invite. I met you over there at TwitchCon 2019. It was good to hang out with you. I think we cooked what was that, steak together or something at that place. That was really
Always
interesting.
Steak. 100% of the time.
Always steak for sure. Hey, thanks for the Razor, your big brother Steve. I appreciate that. Arsenal Fighter. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for the 100 biddies. Okay, let's get in on this here. So I've known you as Prophet on Fire for about, I don't know, a year, probably more than that now, probably 2 years or so. And you recently switched to FyrBorne, and I always wanted to ask you, why the name change, and how has it affected you so far, and do people still call you Prophet?
People call me Prophet all the time. I don't think they'll go anywhere for a long time. I imagine I have to be FyrBorne twice as long as Prophet for Prophet to be less noticeable than FyrBorne. But it comes down to marketing, and I mean, when it comes to streaming, I mean, I'm sure you know marketing is a huge part of what we do, whether it's in Twitter or Instagram or whatever. If you're just walking around at a bar and you just scream, "I have a Twitch channel," marketing is a lot of what we have to do. And it turns out that when you light religious figures on fire, it turns out to be bad for marketing. And especially in the South. And
that's what I was thinking.
So, yeah, and so it was one of those things where I had to consider, with, as we're gonna go over here, with my staple game Battlefield doing less than what was expected at the moment. It was a good time to work on rebranding, as I wouldn't be killing my own stride in the middle of it. So
yeah, I noticed rebranding with the logos and all that good stuff. I think Big E helped you out on that, and that was really cool of him to do that, and amazing work.
Yeah, he did my Prophet on Fire one. He did the flaming raven, the big red raven.
Yep.
But the fire horse is done by me. All my graphics and everything like that is pretty much done by me now. So
I did not know that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what was the actual point of where, like, I need to change my name because X? Like, was there an actual point, or was that part of maybe that rebranding that started it?
So I first looked into changing my name when I got banned from EA. Um,
Oh.
So a lot of you may not know, I was banned for about 4.5 hours from Origin. Um, and of course, it was one of those things where I was like, hey, you guys know that y'all banned me, right? And they're like, oh crap, okay, sorry, we'll fix that. And so I
What?
got an email from EA, and it said, hey, we want you to know that you have been banned for it was like 7 days, as a full week ban, or no, yeah, full week
Uh-huh.
ban from all Origin activities due to offensive name. And I was like,
Wow.
you all have wrote me checks before. You didn't think this out ahead of time? Like, at what point was this going to be a problem? After it's like, got you good. You've been playing Apex. We saw you. No, and so I got the message when I woke up in the morning because I checked my email and all that stuff, and
Uh-huh.
guys, y'all banned me. They're like, we'll fix it. So I was known for roughly 12 hours as renamed 9026 or 27 or something
Oh
like that.
my
That was my
god.
Origin account. And so we full on trolled it on Twitter. Like I made Flackfire made me a banner. It was like with
Oh,
my
I
all
think I
my logo
remember
and
that.
stuff. Yeah, with it's like rename 9026 or something like that. And so we just memed it to death. It was hilarious. But when I woke up to that ban email, it didn't really hit me at first, and then we got everything sorted out, and I put my name back and everything like that. And I started thinking about it probably a week later. I was like, I actually got banned. Like that wasn't like someone was trolling me and it was like, haha, we're gonna ban you. It's like someone out there saw my name and was like, that's messed up, and then and then reported me.
It had to be
And
an EA
so
rep or something.
yeah, and so somebody somewhere was like, "Yeah, you can't have that." And so I started thinking about. I was like, "No, this can't be a problem. This isn't really a problem. Like we're past that. Like this world. Like I've seen people with some way worse names." And so I was like, "There's no
Yeah.
way that this is the problem here." And so I know because I've worked with EA for a lot of stuff. I went to conventions and I talk a lot. I'm good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I I've talked to a lot of people, so I started hitting up some people at companies that I knew, and I was like, "Hey, do you think my name is a bit offensive?" And they're like, "Well, it could be better, but it's not too bad." And so they're like, it makes it harder to work with people with certain names, and so we just don't work with some people. Yeah, Zir, I know my mic's always low for other people. I'm sorry about it. I
All
would
right. I put a
I will
gain.
change it.
I put a gained a little bit on yours, and
Okay.
I think it should be a little louder.
Okay, good.
Let me
And
know what you
so
guys think. But yeah, keep going.
yeah, I talk a lot, Steve. Of course, who would ever think? And so I was like, oh my lord, I have to. I was like, now I have to try to figure out how to fix this. I was like, but I've been this person for so long. Like I was Prophet since Halo, the first Halo. Like I've
Uh-huh.
been Prophet for a long time. Like that never surprised me. Like that, nothing seemed weird. And so I started asking companies and being like, hey, I do this. Is my name a problem? And they're like, it's not the best. I'm like, crap. So I
Uh-huh.
started sitting down and looking at some things and going over some names, and I would bounce it off some of my mods and some of my friends, and we need to come up with something else. And I was like, I need to stay something that's me, but I need to get rid of this part that's the problematic part. And so I ended up coming with the FyrBorne part, because fire is obviously one of the things that I've been known for, profit on fire.
Yeah.
Um, I avoided the FIRE because it's pretty basic. I avoided the FYRE because that's a failed convention of
Fire
music.
Festival. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we went in the middle. And we just did FYR. I'm a huge lover of all of the Norse mythology. Obviously, big old beard thing, I've got a Valkyrie on my arm, stuff like that. And so the FYR, it also takes a similar spelling to TYR, which is Tyr, which is my favorite Norse mythology god. So kind of worked the two together. We went through actually a couple of different ideas before we ended up on FyrBorne.
Yeah, I wanted to know what was your maybe alpha names or beta names.
So the first few that we went through because I had Tier FyrBorne with FireBorne for like my troll account on Ubisoft. It was Tier FyrBorne, TYR FyrBorne. And I was like, maybe I'll stick with something like that. And then I was talking to a few of my friends, and they were like, well, you're trying to get rid of the prophet thing. You probably don't want to go with a god thing immediately after that. I'm like, why are you smart? Snow, yes, this is live. And so we were live coming at you from New York. And so I was like, okay, well, we won't do the tier part. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll stick to some Norse stuff anyways. And so I did FyrBorne, which is BJORNE, which is Bjorn is bear, so it's fire bear. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And then everybody was like, no one's gonna be able to say it. They're gonna read that and they'd be like, what is that? What are those letters you're doing? Who is FyrBorne?
Bjorn.
Yeah, FyrBorne. And so I was like, I can just see me getting my moment of spotlight at like a TwitchCon event, and they're like, and up on the stage is FyrBorne. I'm like, no. So I had to go with something simpler, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go with FyrBorne. And of course, I killed the E on the FYRE and threw it at the end of Born, and just made it easy to say and not to be mistaken for failed Ja Rule events. So,
and so for the logo, how did you figure that one out? Was that like a previous tattoo, perhaps, or how did that inspire you to get that one on there?
The horse is based on Schlittner, which is Odin's horse. And
okay, so Norse.
Yes, and so the Odin horse, and it's the horse he rides into Ragnarok, and so the fire and the horse and all that stuff. So that's
have you ever tattooed it before, or since it's a common? Yeah.
No, I've never tattooed that horse. I drew that one specifically for my brand when it started. So
gotcha. And speaking of tattooing, you've been doing that for how long?
12 years.
12 years. And I have some to show off that I found I really liked.
Okay.
These are from the past. I don't know how old these are, but those are your dogs, by the way, but we'll get to your dogs.
Dogs.
I found this Medusa one. This one looks I don't know, maybe like a couple years old, maybe a year old or so. This was
probably about
really
a year,
nice.
Year and a half.
But yeah, this one was really cool. This one looked like straight out of Battlefield 5. A nice, looks like an Abrams tank or something. I'm not really sure.
It is one of the tanks from the front lawn of Fort Knox. And this tank is this gentleman who got this tank tattooed on him is he is 73.
Wow.
And this tank and the tattoos above that you can see that's like partially healed a little bit. These are his first tattoos. He started getting tattooed at 72, and we did an entire sleeve on him in a year. So, yeah, wow. That's literally what he started with and started getting. It was crazy.
So this is an older tattoo on top, then.
The ones up above are probably 3-4 months old, but his skin's still healing, so we have to do everything in stages. So the other parts up there, we had to go back over and do some other parts to it because where his skin is older, it will it takes longer to heal, and it doesn't heal quite as easily for him.
I see. Yeah, that's really. Did you start this in like perhaps school or college of some sort? Is that
tattooing?
Where you? Yeah, tattooing, like artistry, drawing, whatnot.
I've been doing art my entire life. So that's one of the things. But I started tattooing in mid-college while I was actually doing my degree.
Okay.
But yeah, and so I started that, and I was originally going to school for biochemical engineering,
Whoa. Okay.
and I decided that I hated my life,
Oh
and
man,
so
I'm a
yeah,
biochemist, and
nice.
dude, during college, I was just stuck in the library the whole time. I was
Mm-hmm.
also hating my life then, but oh my god, I feel your pain. I feel your
Yeah.
pain for sure.
Yeah, I woke up one morning. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I just went to my course counselor. And I was like, we're done. We're done here.
Yeah,
We're not doing it.
at my point, I was too far into it, so I couldn't back out. I would have been there for another like 3 years or so. I couldn't do that. But
Yeah.
anyway, here's another one I liked here. This Dragon Ball Z one is just
Oh,
picture. I
yeah.
don't know if you guys added color on that later on,
Nope,
but
just a black and gray piece.
it is wonderful. It looks exactly like the cartoon sketch. This is great. I didn't understand the stuff on the bottom of it though, with
Okay.
the numbers.
So that's the Dragon Radar from Dragon Ball. And then the capsules are the Capsule Corp caps, but they are his son's birthday.
Oh, that's nice. That's really cool.
Thanks.
Goku.
Yeah. Yeah, that one
Oh
was
yeah.
hard. That one was a hard one, mostly because of the Dragon Radar.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell, yeah. For sure. And this one's your head. Your
Yeah.
glorious head.
My
And
big old shiny tiger head.
this is who tattooed this? Because you didn't tattoo it yourself, right?
Oh no, God, that would be impossible.
That would be like crazy. Yeah.
So that one is done by another artist that we had. Her name was Amanda Marie, and she worked up in the front with me. And so I said, "Hey, I want to get my head tattooed," and she's like, "Do you really?" I was like, "Yeah." And so we went to sit down and design this. So that's my big old chrome dome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's see this next one here. So I chose this one specifically because for some reason I feel like it inspired you for your emotes that you have on your Twitch channel, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I wanted to ask you about this what do they call these again? There's some doctor, right?
It's a plague doctor. Yep.
Plague doctor. Yes. What got you into all the did this influence all that, or is this just one of those that the client wanted?
It's something actually that he asked about, and I'm a huge fan of plague doctors. They're a great story. But I personally picked the plague doctors for my emotes because they're just like the good guys gone bad in history. He wanted it because he has a full sleeve of like dead stuff, so just like I do. So he wanted the plague doctor. I actually have a plague doctor on my arm as well, which, well, hard to see because it's hard to twist my arm for it, but yeah, right there. But yeah,
nice.
So I love the things. They're great.
Yeah, those are really cute. And then this last one, this looks like it's been a big project here because I remember seeing a photo of just Jack Sparrow here on just a leg. But how long did this one take? Because this is like the whole goddamn cast.
Yeah, and so that she has Barbarossa, Davy Jones. She has the Pirate Skull, Jack. She has Calypso, and she even has Jack the Monkey on her too, and a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
but those are all probably 4 hours apiece.
Oh wow, that's quick.
Yeah, I tattoo really quick. I do pretty much all the tattoos I do quite deliberately. I don't spend very much time trying to like figure things out. One, because that's not a smart way of doing permanent artwork. And two, it saves a lot of pain. And time is pain. And because people, man, a lot of them are like, yeah, I'll sit here forever. And you get about 2 hours in, they're like, how much longer is forever? And so we try to make sure that whatever I'm doing, it just takes just enough time just enough time to get it done, and not so much time to start wearing them out. So.
Yeah, Necro's
Oh,
in
and
here.
there's
He
Necro.
said
Yeah.
you gave him one. What was his?
We did the a Mass Effect piece on him.
Oh.
It is both the Harvester and what is the other part? I never really spent much time in Mass Effect, so I'm really bad at this. But I know it was like the Harvester and the bad guys, and I can't remember what their names are.
Don't remember.
Revenant? Reaper. There we go.
Reaper. Okay.
Yeah, the Reaper Mass Effect relay combo. Yep, there you go.
Well,
I knew he would
cool.
have me there for it. Yeah.
That's sick. I there's so much more. If you guys follow FyrBorne _ENT, you'll see a lot more tattoos. I mean, you can scroll for days for tattoos, and they're all incredible. Just really cool. And also, and then I found your doggos here. I think one of them is Joe. I overheard in a Twitch clip, but I really don't know the names of your doggos here.
So it is Zhou Yu and Mei Li, and they are both Chinese dog names. So I'm going to write them in chat. Zhou Yu is based off of a character from the book is called Romance of Three Kingdoms. But we're all nerds here, so most of them are gonna know Zhou Yu is from Dynasty Warriors. And then Mei Li is just Chinese for beautiful. So the wife named her, and then I named Zhou Yu. Of course, Zhou Yu is the derpy one. He's my boy.
This one,
but he makes that really derpy face.
There's a clip here of you with this. Here you go.
Okay.
And back in Battlefield 1 days, here brings up.
You need eye protection.
He has that gamer glasses.
Gamer dog, yeah.
Yeah.
He is a professional gamer dog.
Confident.
Zhou Yu Pro.
Oh,
yeah.
Easy
Zhou Yu
kill.
Pro.
And plus, you just can't beat the Lewis.
No,
that's really him playing. I wasn't doing it. He's wearing the glasses, so.
Yeah, he had the mouse, keyboard, everything ready to go. That was sick. But yeah, your doggos. So there's a third one in here too. You kind of barely see it here on the edge.
Yes. And that is my mom's dog. Her name's Bella.
Bella.
She basically just gets super excited. So we bring our dogs over to my mom's house and let them all hang out, and then we come pick them up a few hours later, and they're all tired. So it makes everything better.
How are the doggos doing anyway?
They're doing good. They're actually at my mom's house right now. My wife went over there, and so we usually take the dogs pretty much anytime we go over to the mom's house. So.
Oh, cool. All right then. Well, thanks for letting me know about that, and welcome everybody new, Kamaka and Rick Shade. Thank you guys for the hosts and the raids. Welcome to the Battlefield Show, episode 19. I'm here with FyrBorne. We're gonna be talking a lot about Battlefield coming up right here in a second, and I think that was pretty much to get to know you and the background. But the next thing is pretty much is you started playing Twitch about like 5 years ago, perhaps, and you started on console.
I did.
I think so. And this is the earliest clip I was able to find.
Oh no!
Let me see here. I think it was
earliest clip. So that means I'm on like Battlefield 4.
I think so. Yeah. I
okay.
Can't find it. Is it? No, that's that one. Let me see here. It's an old. Here we go. This is it here.
Okay.
So this is Battlefield 4. No camera. You had the two dragons here. I think that was just like a common
That's
thing.
my PlayStation account. And this is me running around trolling people with the M1014 with slugs. And so this is back when I was with a competitive community called Clan Lucky Strike. Anybody who's been around my channel for a long time remembers that, because they were pretty much the people who pretty much got me started streaming. Because I was back in Battlefield 4, I was the #1 DMR user in the world for a long time. pretty much the first like 7 months of Battlefield.
Oh
There
my
was occasionally one guy in Russia who played only hardcore and used the SKS who would like pass me for like 2 kills, and then I would just blow him away for like 100 and some for the next few days. But so we did that, and so they were like, we need streamers, we need content creators, and one of my friends was like, you should do it, and I was like, no, this is dumb. And so I ended up doing it, and so this is from one of my first few broadcasts of me just like trolling around with it. So
that long distance headshot right there. But I feel like, how long did you stream Battlefield for on? What was it on Xbox, right?
PlayStation for this
it was
one.
on PlayStation. Okay, how long did you play? Or let's say, what was your first Battlefield game that you really got into?
The first Battlefield game I ever started playing was Bad Company 2.
Bad Company 2. Okay.
All my friends said, this game just came out. It's badass. You should totally play it. I think you would like it. And I said, nah, I'm good. And I continued playing Rainbow Six Vegas 2 for probably like a year later. And then everybody was like, it's on sale. You got to play it. And I'm like, fine, sure, whatever. And I was like, I can't afford it. I was broke as shit. So, I mean, that's how that works. And so one of my friends bought it for me and brought it over. And he's like, here you go. I was like, okay. And so, yeah, I started playing Bad Company 2. And I was like, yeah, this game's okay. And then I got really addicted to playing Medic on it because everybody I knew played Scout. They were all snipers, and that's all they wanted. And they all just like sit really far back on Erica Harbor and just try to shoot people off the top of the thing. I'm like, this is boring. Why are we doing this? They're like, because it's super difficult. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. But then
someone brought up a question here about shoutcasting. Did you do that during Battlefield 4? Is that what you were talking about there?
No, I actually did the shoutcasting for Battlefield 1. They were doing 5v5 dominations. Yeah. And so I've done quite a bit of shoutcasting in my days. Now that was my first not that event specifically, but Battlefield 1 was the first time I shoutcasted anything for Battlefield. I've done Halo and Call of Duty, and something else.
Oh, so what was your first PC game that on stream on Twitch?
First PC game on Twitch would have been Battlefield 4. But that would have been after Battlefield 1 came out and after Battlefield Hardline all the way through.
Okay, yeah. I see you have a lot of fun on Hardline. I actually had some clips to show you. And
I love Hardline.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah.
You were, let's see if I can find this clip here. This is the Prophet smashing with the big hammers back in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, FyrBorne. They do not understand the weird stuff that was in Hardline when it comes to certain type of melee weapons, and I'm surprised those types of melee weapons never kind of went through into like BF1 or now in BF5 with like large. I thought it would have made a whole bunch of sense in BF1 with these large mallets or something, but this is what it looked like here. Let me see.
With the love that people had for Bad Company 2's melee system, where it was just like stab a guy and it's over, I don't know why people didn't love Hardline's melee system.
Yeah,
because with like some of the big parts, and you would literally just like smash them with the hammer. Like that's exactly the same as like Bad Company, where you like run up and like stab through a door and kill somebody, like and the door explodes. Like I did that with a knife. Now I can at least do it with a sledgehammer. You know?
Here's a clip here.
Donk. I just love it, and I got the gold sledgehammer too. Eventually, like
nice,
and it's over the top. Yeah,
the skins for all the melee weapons were really fun too. Man, bad spawn for that guy, right?
Oh yeah, he had no chance on that one.
And he kept going here for a while. Lots of smashing was done.
So smashed. Yeah. And then, Steve says the Crusader sword. Yeah, I had a bunch of
Crusader
different
sword,
clips of the Crusader sword too. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, I would jump out of helos, land on the top of the map where it's like the Riptide. I think it's called Riptide actually, something like that. And so I would run. I was just like jump out of the helicopter, land on the roof, and just run around smashing people on the roof of the buildings. Because it's so stupid, but it's so fun.
Exactly. And it's so brutal too. I mean, it got way brutaler in BF1 later on.
Yeah.
When, oh my god, with all the sounds and everything. But yeah, I found this to be quite hilarious. This guy just spawned in, and you're to say hi to a mallet in his face. And it's
so good.
It was a long. The only downside to it is with the build up to actually swinging it took a while. So it's kind of like the delay of throwing knives in BF5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, bunch of silly stuff. And I feel like we need more of that silly stuff in the Battlefield 5. And boy, I kind of feel like I feel like we're slowly creeping into the whole Sandbox thing that they want to promote. Especially here in this last chapter, like the lunge mine is one of those silly things that we've been missing for a whole year now. And the throwing knives they came out, but they were just buggy, and like sometimes they're really overpowered. I remember those quite a bit. But yeah, you seem to like sniping a lot. And then when BF1 came around, it was all medic. And I have some early alpha footage. I'm just gonna put it in the background here. This is you playing the Battlefield 5 closed alpha back in the day. And I'm just gonna have this loop in the background, and we'll discuss some stuff. I basically want to start off with the beginning, the release of Battlefield 5, and your impressions, even actually before the release of the game.
Okay.
I feel like there was a really, and as you can see, the bugs here are just obscene and crazy. I remember all that stuff, and it's such a different game now. Totally different.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get a comparison of how you tested certain things in the past, or play tested and went to Sweden or LA and started testing these specific games. Did you notice a big difference between Battlefield 1 map testing and BF5 map testing? Anything like stand out? Like something's not right. I mean, I know these are like alphas and betas, but did you feel like there was a specific direction DICE was taking this game?
So when I did most of the testing with like Battlefield 1, like one of the times when for Battlefield 1, we went and did a capture event in Redwood, like out Redwood Studios and stuff like that. And it was the They Shall Not Pass stuff.
Yep.
So that was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a great time. But like everything was already done when we got to it, so it was like a capture event. That's the entire premise of it, was the capture event. So most of the testing didn't come until like 6 months later, because we had to wait like 6 months for They Shall Not Pass. Like we had that long dry period where like the only thing we got was Giant Shadow, and and then it was like 6 more months, and then we finally got the Russian stuff. Well, the Russian stuff, like almost nobody really got to test it. Like there was very little closed testing. There was very little like flying out to test it, and then we just got it, and it was there. Like I think we played like one map. What map would have been? Maybe Sarsaram. I think we might have like done a early test Sarsaram, but it was one of those ones. It's when they started doing the no texture, like it was all white box. And so like if you were like playing the game or playing any of the maps before the maps came out, it was always white box. And then they started taking those maps and they put them in the CTE, and those CTE maps were all white box too. And so it was one of those things that like all through Battlefield 1, it was always like very little testing, white box. if there was any testing, and most of everything you got was pretty much done.
Okay.
Battlefield 5, when we did all the testing, like the pre-game launch testing, like when they would send people overseas to do
Mhm.
so, generally all of it looked pretty much done. And of course, that was quite a bit of time before it was supposed to be there. And basically, when you saw it, they're like, "Oh yeah, the one thing that we still have to do is go in and put like the reinforcement stuff, the
Oh, okay.
fortifications."
Okay.
So, like most of the time, they're like, "Where do you think that you would need fortifications or cover or something like this?"
Oh, okay. They
Uh,
asked you about that. All right.
yeah, and so we went over a whole bunch of stuff like that, but everything played great. Um, Everything played great all the way up until beta, I guess it
Okay.
was.
All
I
right.
mean, like the even the beta squads, when they got everybody to play like Doctor Disrespect and Shroud and everything, like everything still played well. It wasn't until like way later until stuff really started hitting the fan, and it was the updates. Like most of everything else has been pretty much the same until they started updating the game, and it just kept being, you know,
It kept getting
more and
unstable.
more. Yeah, it was like every patch like added two things we didn't want and a new bug. Like,
Yes. I kind of seem to notice that they went through a lot of iterations of just Narvik itself. And
yeah,
I mean, what you see here, I mean, you can just tell right away from coloring, from UI, and skipping revive. Like that was so annoying because you
yeah.
couldn't skip it. It kind of took forever. So we've come a long way. But when you were testing BF1, you mentioned that things were more complete. Are you saying that the BF5 ones were also very complete, but did it seem more
Yeah,
intricate in BF1 because you had a CTE? There's like a process. Here it was just
right.
like they're letting you play, and then you have a feedback session or something.
Yeah, it was one of those things where they were like, play this.
Okay.
And so we would go in and we would play it, and they would be like, "What did you think about that?" And I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's pretty common for a lot of like the testing stuff that you'll do. It'll be like, "What did you think about it?" And so, standard questions and standard answer stuff. You would get like one of the big ones that I remember specifically was the want for more ambiance. And so, like, a lot of the times when we would play stuff, there would be no like background noise, so everything's like super quiet. So that's something that like they always add in, like when they go to like live. It's like the sound of water, the sound of like gunfire in the distance, and the sound of like wind. And so
All
there's
that
all
was
these little
gone.
things. None of that exists in most of the pre-builds usually. And so,
Okay.
because they want you to see, like, can you hear footsteps? Can you hear people shooting? Can you hear people like reloading? You want to hear everything that you can, and then they add the ambiance stuff later, but to make it
Gotcha.
feel alive. But always in all the like the in all of the like testing stuff, it's always like dead quiet, and it's really
Okay.
weird.
So a lot of people are bringing that up when you were playing those pre-builds that we've never seen or heard before.
Right.
How were footsteps back then when
Per-
there's no background noise?
Perfectly fine. Like, and that's always the thing that's always weird to me. And I don't think it's really as much of like their builds. I
Uh-huh.
feel like there's a lot of issues, and I feel like maybe that this is something that's been really consistently wrong with Battlefield 5. I think it's server side.
Okay.
Like, we didn't really have any issues with that kind of stuff. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Hardline, but all of those were servers that you could rent from other places.
Yes. And
And
then
then
but
Battlefield 1 and
BF1,
5,
yeah.
yeah, were they started having like footstep questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, BF1 I noticed a lot. Footsteps were pretty good. Like I didn't really complain about them too much. Maybe in earlier builds I did,
Mhm.
But the main one that kept going, creeping up, were tank sounds. Tanks rolling
yeah.
up to you, and when they're stationary, even Battlefield 5 now, it's ridiculous.
The
Like
silent engine.
the silent Tesla engines, like
Mm-hmm.
if I watch old World War II movies or just, more modern World War II movies, I always hear like the greasy noise of the tank tracks and while it's moving, and then when it's silent, when it's stand still, you can hear the engine rumbling in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they just kind of forgot that certain part of it in BF5. But when you remove that background sound, boy, you can hear them coming.
Oh, yeah.
Even the smaller game modes, when there's not a lot going on, it's pretty quiet in that certain area. You'll know from a mile away where those tanks are coming. You know when they spawn in sometimes. But I kind of feel that they took that ambiance that you guys were talking about
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of went ham on it. Do you feel that way, or?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things, I actually had this conversation because I was talking about on Twitter with somebody who actually commented on the fact that we were doing this show together. And they started asking me questions. And one of the questions, they're like, they didn't like how far Battlefield 4 went to Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5. They didn't like the change. Like, they didn't like how crazy it went from one iteration to another. And of course, I had to remind him, the biggest thing that DICE does well is they're not afraid to try new stuff.
Absolutely,
And
you're 100% correct. Yes.
yeah, and so like,
And that's great.
otherwise,
I praise them for
how
that.
do you go from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1? Like, other than the fact that it's called Battlefield, they have almost nothing in common. Like,
I feel
they
like
have the core pillars.
Afraid of that. Yeah, the core pillars are there. The
Yeah.
modes, the all the intricacies of certain modes. Like Conquest it's been Conquest forever. Same kind
But
of
it wasn't
aspects.
still.
Yeah, then they
Remember?
changed certain things around BF1 where now it's opposite scoreboard, and sometimes the Conquest flags don't cap. Like, yeah, they were trying to fiddle with that, and boy, did they hear the feedback on that.
Mhm.
And now look where we're at. It's kind of back to where it was before in most aspects, I would think. But it's kind of interesting. When I first played I don't think it was a closed alpha. I think I just played the open alpha. Or what, they had two different ones. Actually, I think it was a second closed alpha that they released. I tried that, and the way the game looked was pretty intense. There was a lot of snow everywhere, and they ended up.
God, yeah.
Yeah, the ambiance, and the ambient noise was really high, and I swear I don't think I heard any footsteps around that time, and it's always been a interesting struggle to try to balance this audio mix. But now you're saying it could be server side. That's an interesting look at it.
Yeah, and so and so they're always trying to change stuff, and it's because and what I was saying to him is they're like, you love Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 because that's what he was talking about. He's like, I love those games; they were my favorite. But if you ever play Battlefield 2 is very similar to Battlefield 1. They both feature the random bullet deviation style gameplay. That does that rather than recoil. Those two are very similar, just like Battlefield 3 and 4 are very similar, and
Right.
Battlefield 5 is its own monster of whatever it's doing. But like, it's one of those things that they're never afraid to change things, and so the next Battlefield that come out could play exactly like Battlefield 3, and we'll be like, oh, this is crazy and different. No one expected this, but it'll be just like the other one. But they're always willing to go through and do these changes. And that like desire to go through and just like change things just to try to do something better is great, except for we're the test subjects for it, Like, live from New York, here it is. That's what you get.
I've been talking to a lot of people on this show, and usually the same theme comes up is like, DICE keeps trying to reinvent the wheel. when you don't fix what ain't broke, and it kind of feels like they'll get criticized for, keeping things the same. Or the biggest criticism I've seen over the years is, oh, BF4 is just going to be a reskin of BF3. And I wonder if that really hit them hard. It's like, whoa, like we don't want that ever in our games. And I've noticed that through all the new releases of Battlefields, it is never a reskin. Never, almost never, ever. Maybe there's some UI elements and some game mode elements that are the same, which is great. But when we hear stuff like competitive in late BF1 and all that stuff, is like, man, we need to make this Battlefield a competitive esport game, right? And it's going to be the biggest one ever. And
they've been saying that since 4.
Yeah, probably since 4. Yeah. And then we hear about this 5v5 game mode in the temporal stuff. And I was like,
that's
whoa,
a mess too.
Yeah, so the 5v5 is like, there's a lot of stuff when Temporal is going through all that code, and it's like, dude, there's charms, there's skins, there's freaking mini tanks. I mean, crazy stuff we still have not seen in Battlefield 5 yet. And I was like, whoa, they're trying to reinvent or actually put in a whole new game mode here, and like nobody's really talking about this. When it comes to like competitive Battlefield, all you need is a rental server program with the correct tools, and people will start making that competitive mode and make it even greater if you give them the right tools. So what did you hear about this whole 5v5 game mode? Was that a thing, or was that all under wraps or whatever?
So the 5v5 game mode, the first time I heard of it was from Temporal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only thing I can guess is that this code that exists in the game for this 5v5 mode is something that they worked on long before they were pushing out the rest of the game. Like, I think they probably already had it halfway done to what they were wanting to do before the game even launched. And I think honestly that the game came out and that it received a good reception for it, and they're like, well, maybe we need to ride this for a second. And then they put out that first patch, and it just went and just started going downhill, and they're like, now we got to fix this. And then they're like, we
ran out of time.
Yeah, and so now all these coders that were making all this stuff are like now just being redistributed back to fixing the stuff that's not working. And so I feel like that when they started, this was their plan. This was something that they probably even, I don't know. My best guess is it's probably a modified version of Incursions, like what they started with before.
Yeah, but Incursions never took off in the CTE. People weren't liking it. There was some shoutcasting going on for it, and they canceled it.
Incursions Incursions suffered mostly from hubris, I feel like. Incursions was locked behind people who had premium. You couldn't get to it without it.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, there is no premium anymore, and it's because that was not a common thing. Like, a lot of people had Battlefield 1, yeah, sure. Not a lot of people had premium. And most people, by the time they got to the second DLC, was done with Battlefield. Like, again, it was like 9 months after the game came out before they started even announcing it. Like, there wasn't people left to do that. There was lots of people left, yes, of course, but you didn't have new income for it. So I feel like they said, Incursions, locked behind premium, maybe people will buy premium now.
You would think at that time that DICE would be like, yeah, we shouldn't go forward with this. This ain't working out. And, they're probably thinking in the future, oh, hey, we're not going to do premium service anymore. We're going to do this Tides of War type of what do you call the new system that they got instead of premium? God, what's the freaking word for it?
Oh no, now you messed me up.
And yeah, what's the word, chat? Live service. Yes.
Live service.
Live
oh god,
service.
devil words together.
So the live serve or the Tides of War, a lot of people were interested in this. It was like, ooh, baby, this is gonna be good. I remember watching a couple of your announcement videos for that, and you were really excited about this Tides of War and what it could bring.
Yep.
Now we're in the future, right? A year and a half probably later. The whole premium thing was not very, especially in the the veteran community of playing Battlefield. Dude, premium sucked because we couldn't fill any servers because you would split the community.
Yeah.
This was a huge problem, and I was so happy. I was like, dude, premium's finally gone. Everyone can come together and enjoy this new live service where we get all these goodies for free, and they'll pay it off by using microtransactions or whatever, and it was going to be a whole new world. But I don't want to get off subject too much, but which I want to get to, the premium versus Tides of War kind of thing.
Right.
But the 5v5 or the incursions, you said it was premium only. You can only play on the CTE.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work out for them.
Nope. Not at all.
And so you're telling me that a thing that didn't work out, they kept working on it to try to make it work out and perhaps put it in Battlefield 5. And it looks like they put a lot of time into it, a lot of development time. And they wanted to reinvent that whole wheel. But then another thing came out. And you know what that other trend was? Battle Royales.
Yeah.
Were a huge trend. And like, ooh, dice game there. Ooh,
Yeah.
This sounds good. We can get into this market. We have the Battlefield thing is looking, ooh, we can nail this, right? And so they announced that.
Yeah.
But we know where that went, right? When it comes to Firestorm. We'll probably talk about that. But I find that surprising that the 5v5 was actually a thing, despite it previously being a failure. I can see that how that affected both in development time and everything else. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, premium versus Tides of War. Now that we're in the future, Fire, do you want premium back? Do you think it would have helped, or we would be still in the same mess?
I would like a variant of premium back, but not premium.
Premium. Gotcha.
I think the current live service is a really good idea. This is poor execution. It's not for a lack of trying. They are trying. They're constantly trying to re-innovate like how they're doing this. They're just not. They don't have the stride yet for that. And you know what? Maybe they'll Battlefront to us, and it'll come back and it'll start working amazingly.
That's what
right now is not
I'm
that
hoping.
time.
No.
What would do really well is the combination of this live service and a feature similar to something like Rainbow Six's Season Pass. Because they need steady income. Honestly, these guys cannot work for free. It's not going to work out. That's a bad idea for anybody and everybody who's ever worked as a job. No one wants to work for free. It's just $5. No, I'm just kidding. And so it's one of those things like the Rainbow Six implemented this season pass thing where they get these characters a week early, and they get access to the maps like the same time as everybody else. But that's the thing. Battlefield has no incentive for you to purchase more things. Why? Why would you? If you can't see your character unless you're dead. So when you respawn, you're like, oh, that's a really cool helmet. Oh, it's gone now. And so, like, you're not spending time staring at your helmet. You got gun skins, but the gun skins aren't that impressive most of the time. They're because
BF1s are way better.
we can talk about the cosmetics here in just a second too. That's a whole nother
yeah.
rant moment.
Oh, baby.
But there is almost nothing in there that encourages people to spend money. They've now they've put the weapons into the season, which of course for content creators who make YouTube videos, that encourages them to spend money, but we don't want to do that. Like, we don't want to spend $30 when the content drops so we can get the one gun, make one review, and make $3 on YouTube. But it just doesn't work like that. Like, it doesn't add up. I don't like this. And so their live service just doesn't work yet. But if someone said to you, hey, Battlefield has a season pass, you get it for $20 for this season. You get access to the new 5 maps where you can use the new 5 guns on those maps a week early. Do you know how many people are buying that shit? And it's not even
love that.
It's not even content that they're locking away forever. That is just 1 week early access is content. And people are like, I get to do this how many times this season? 2-3 times this season? Hell yeah, $20. I'm gonna burn that on a weekend drinking.
Yeah,
or I can
easy. One drink.
I can burn way less now just sitting at home playing this game for this weekend when this stuff comes out. Like,
they're already doing this.
Yeah.
Look at Origin Premiere Access, Origin Access.
Yeah, it's great, except for it hasn't done anything else since it came out.
Yeah.
Like, Apex does it. Like, I have Origin Premiere because I guess I'm a shill. And so, like, I buy that shit every year. But you know what? Apex gives me my season pass every season for it. I haven't had to buy another one.
That's an incentive.
Yeah. It keeps me coming back for it. Like, even if I was like, man, I don't know, I'm just not feeling Apex. But it's like, new Apex season comes out, I load it up, and they're like, here's your battle pass. I'm like, I guess I'm playing. And so it's one of those things that, like, there needs to be a reason that us as the community want to invest time and our extra money into this thing, and it just doesn't have that. Like, there's no drive for us to do that.
Yeah, right now we have chapters, and chapter rewards, and now you can have guns. You can unlock guns as you progress through, and all that good stuff. I was like, this is great, but this could turn really bad real quick. And what we're noticing in the newest chapter is they're making
really
sure
bad really quick.
It could have gone really bad really quick, but I'm not getting that vibe anymore of like that pay to win, that Battlefront 2 kind of thing. But it easily could have been. Like, easily. All they can have done is put those 4 new guns in the back, and we would still not be able, like, if we were not paying money, I'm like halfway through and I play this game every day, I would still not have those guns. And I would see all the people out there, like, oh, he paid for that gun, blah, blah, blah. It would get really toxic really quick. Like, that could have been a reality. But how they're going about it now is, well, now it just feels like it's kind of cheap because they accidentally released 2 guns, and now everyone has those, so you're not earning those guns, you just have them now. And then the others are like early on. But man, now they're doing, instead of the weekly Tides of War, now you got these skip tier tokens, and now we have another one coming up next week, and I'm like, okay, we get it. Like, I hate that everything's been put into a computer and scheduled, and it doesn't live up with the times and the critiques. Everything was in there already months ago, and now we're seeing things like, wow, they really feel. I mean, I feel like DICE is really out of touch with what we're dealing with right now.
Right.
And I'm getting that a lot. They need to stop. Tides of War needs to be, keeping up with the Joneses here. Like, things are a certain way, a balance is a certain way. That's just my 2 cents on that. But what do you think? Do you think Tides of War is drip feeding pretty much, and just to buy some time?
I think Tides of War is Dice's Tides of War is Dice's underestimation of their player base. I think they saw basically, so Battlefield 1 was their largest Battlefield ever produced as far as like people who consumed that game.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw the speed in which people consumed that game, and they said, this should be about the time that these people unlock this stuff, and this is about how long it should take to do this. And then they created this Tides of War system from these guesstimation times on how long something should take and what you should be rewarded for it. And the problem with that is that was a massive game. So the bigger a game, the more lower end players you're getting as far as like the amount of time they're willing to put in on one go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's your casual fan base, the people who are going to be the ones who load up every Friday for 2 hours and then doesn't touch it again until next Friday. Well, you have these people sitting there and doing the minimum, the bare minimum. And then you scale your entire community off these people doing the bare minimum. You end up having the vocal people like us. We have nothing to do. And of course, these are we're the people they come back to ask about it. And then we're like, well, I've got nothing to do. And then they go off and tell their friend, they're like, yeah, man, he's got nothing to do. And so then their friend's like, well, I guess I'm not playing. Like, and so they sold themselves short. They should have started from the beginning with the 500 levels. There's no sense in why it started at 50. Why did it start at 50?
I have a theory on that.
Okay, I'd love to hear that.
Okay, I think it has something to do with, I don't know if you remember, but they had like these anti-toxicity type of meetings from EA. Do you remember anything like that? Okay.
Yeah, I went through some of them.
Yeah, so I feel like if everyone, I'm trying to put my shoes into them, basically.
Right.
If I'm a new player and I come in and I see someone at a super high rank of 500 and I'm level 1, I'm going to probably be pretty salty if they keep killing me all the time, right?
Right.
And if, you know, people start picking up the game and everyone sees that their max rank of 50, okay, it's like, oh man, I'm not that far behind, you know?
Right.
And if everyone's at 50 for a long time, now nobody is, that toxic behavior is now gone because you don't know how good that player is at that point. Sometimes people think high rank means great player. Sometimes it does. Right. But I feel like that's why they even got rid of the stars when you earn those weapon stars. What they call those again? Anyway, but every time I got killed by a 100 star automatico from a rank 140, you see what I mean here? It was like, this is now a toxic environment. You're always, I mean, I'm sure you've done it a few times. The service star, sorry. Yeah, 100 service star Hell Regal man running around rank 140. I think they wanted to get rid of that. Maybe they put the rest of that ranking system and progression to the side, and the ranking and progression, or just the progression, was cosmetic. If you have cool cosmetics, that means you've been a higher rank, and that'll be less toxic. That's my theory on that. I don't know. Could very well
that
be
doesn't sound bad. I mean, that sounds like a logical CEO's idea behind why it should do that. I think it's a terrible misstep if that were the way that they did it. I feel like that, you know, that kills the chase. You know, I know so many people who were just like, I'm getting to 100, Colonel 100 this weekend. That's what we're doing. We're going for it. Like Battlefield 3, just, you knew, even if your friends weren't like the most hardcore, they're like, oh, I got to get that level. Like, I'm so close to leveling. One more game. Like, it's one of those things where people, they had that ghost to chase even every night. When you, like Steve says, I hit 50 in 17 hours. What's left? Like,
That's
so
it.
yeah, that's what we got. And so I feel like a lot of what they anticipated of doing was they wanted people to focus on their Tides of War leveling, those season
That's what I'm thinking
levelings.
too. Yeah, I was
And
thinking when they're gonna put that 500, dude. I
right.
was theorizing. You should have seen me as like, oh man, they're gonna add 500 ranks, and you know what? You're not just gonna get company coin from all those ranks. You're gonna get exclusive cosmetics because that's gonna have other people be engaged in the game for longer, so they
Yep.
can try to strive for that. And then we get the release, and it's just company coin to spend on literally nothing. You got Big Brother Steve over here in the chat who's a millionaire, multi-millionaire almost, with a
Right.
company coin. And it kind of seems like now there's absolutely no incentive to play this game longer, even as for cosmetic stuff, because I thought that's where they were going with that.
Right.
So this is another blunder, in my opinion, when it comes to that.
There's a lot of missteps
Yeah.
in the game. And
Yeah. Go ahead.
I tell people that all the time. I was like, if the game went off of what it did well, the game would do the game would do amazing. Well, except for until they changed the TTK. That's all another talk too.
Easy there.
If we went off of just what the game did well, Battlefield 5 would be super successful.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
the biggest issue we have is how many problems they created for themselves after it. Like,
Well, hold on. Let me hold you at
Yeah.
that point. When you were doing pre-build testing and whatnot for
Mhm.
Battlefield 5 specifically,
right.
and in comparison to BF1, which I forgot to ask you, did you notice a difference in leadership quality? Perhaps maybe, oh, that person's no longer here and we're dealing with someone else, but he's cool too. Did you notice something wasn't right when it comes to leadership, or you maybe something like that? Did you have anything that stood out?
Every test I've ever done at either an event or online has been led by different people. Like, it's not one of those things where it was like, you're gonna deal with only Jeff. Like, Jeff is the
Mhm.
hardest working community manager I think I've ever met. I swear that guy refuses to sleep, lives on Death Wish coffee and scotch, and just writes emails and uh, note patches. And I honestly, if I had a multi-billion-dollar company, I'd buy the shit out of that guy. I would just throw him up into it. I'd be like, whatever you need to do to get it done, you're doing it because you can do it.
Mhm.
Um, every one of those events were pretty much always led by Jeff,
Okay.
but it was always a different like EA Dice employee that was there with him. And so like I never really got to spend much time with any one particular Dice executive to run something. So we would show up for single player stuff and it would be one person, and we would show up for a multiplayer stuff and it'd be another person, and we showed up for like BR stuff and it would be of course Criterion. Um, and they were always there somewhere, but it was
Okay.
just different people were cycling in, and they would come in, they take notes, they'd be, what'd you think of this? You take a survey, you do that. They would ask you more questions, separate into feedback groups. Honestly, the way they take feedback, the way that like what they want to know is some stuff you're not even really thinking about while you're playing. They're like, you'll be, say we played Rotterdam the first time. The first time we ever played Rotterdam, solid game fight, and
Mhm.
then they would be like, uh, "What do you think of the skybox?" Okay, yeah, and you're looking at it as like, "Would you feel different about the map if the skybox were different?" And you're like, "Why is that? Why is that the question?" And then you find out they're like building certain atmospheres, and then they go, "Well, from this atmosphere, do you feel like if the bridge over here is broken, or we can repair that?" And so that's what they start asking you about, like, how would it change the way you play the game if it went to if this could be destroyed. And so they're going through and they're asking like very specific questions.
And seem
then
random, right?
Yeah, and it seems random. And then come back to play it again like 3 months later, and they're like, okay, so based on your feedback, it's like you thought tanks were too good going like because they could get everywhere. And it's like now this bridge falls down. Now you have to build it. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's really cool. And so they're working really hard to get all of these like end metagame decisions already decided before the whole map's ever done. And so it's like really cool where they're putting all this information into it, but we focus so hard on like some of that stuff, it makes you wonder like what parts parts they're missing are things that like let's see, what was the first thing that we really missed? Oh, like Fiel's plane issue.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Where you're just like instantly dead, like because the planes are flying before the match ever starts, and so you're like over their spawn like 1 second later. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, that was fun. But when we're playing it, like we're trying to play to like see the map, and we want to like play to like test the guns and test the paths and build
important
the things. Yeah. And so we're playing the game like we're trying to go in to qualify for the Olympics, but we want to do it like
okay, I see
like
that.
all sorts of we're like full tryhard sweating, but and then you've got like Jack Frags is like holding a gun up over to the sun screenshot, and then you've got Flackfire is sitting over there in the corner, and he's like, you know, this gun doesn't open like this, right? and and then and so everybody, and Westy is over here, he's like flying his plane, and he's like, I really like the way this turns, this doesn't work very well. And so we're all giving this feedback while everybody's sweating it out. But then like the game releases and you're like, oh, this is Fiel, you guys are really gonna like we're all dead. What? Oh, the plane's here?
They didn't spawned. Fix it.
Well, no, it's something that we never even thought about because we're not trying to abuse the game.
I see what you're saying. But
and
okay, so in comparison to BF1 testing, was it all around the same as what you're describing now, or was it more structured?
And so
the questions you asked make more sense.
It like when we tested it, we played it out pretty much the same way. Like when we played like Verdun for the first time,
okay,
the teams were a bunch of us creators, you know? And so like it was a solid fight, and we fought back and forth on the first point, and then we like 3 tickets left and you capture it, and then it's like this dramatic push, and then you get to the last hill and you're like, oh yeah, we're not making it up this hill. Because you got Stod sitting on the top of the hill sniping you with, you know, the Gewehr, and you're like, I guess the game's over. You're like, I'm not making it. And so that's what you're fighting as the content creators. And then you go and you play it. You go and you play it in live server, and you've got like 37 LMG guys laying in the back that just firing at brick walls. Like,
you're talking about BF1 stuff, right?
Yeah, Battlefield 1. And so you've got like 1 million people running the NG-15, just like laying down, just firing at the brick walls right there at the first part of Verdun, and you never make it past the first. And so of course then they come to me and they're like, I thought you said it's balanced. And I'm like, bastards gotta push. Like if you don't push, it doesn't work. And so
right,
we run into the same stuff. Like the first time we played Hamada, I'm like, this map's way too big for me. Like I just don't like these big maps. But then everybody else is like, it's like Grizzle's flying a plane, just carpet bombing everybody. And then you've got the 2 angry gamers and a tank, and everybody's doing what their specialty is. And so you feel like, hey, this actually works out. Like everybody has a special. That's why we're big at what we do, because we all are specialized, which separates us from the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and play it in live server, And then all of a sudden you're like, this is the most unbalanced shit that I've ever done in my life.
I can see that.
Yeah. And so I think part of the issue for us as content creators is we are playing it right beforehand, and we're not taking into the fact of the human who don't give a shit.
Now, wait a second. You guys cannot be the only people who playtest this. Aren't there, like, subsidiaries of DICE or other parts of EA that actually play the map specifically? You guys are there for, promotional or trying to test out certain weapons for your YouTube videos and stuff like that. You can't be the front lines of testing a map. The inside game testers that are being paid, those are the ones that balance or make sure the game is balanced, right?
So they have testers.
Yeah.
Those testers play Battlefield. So they know what they're supposed to do. And then you have, of course, the people who check for bugs and stuff. And then we come in. Most of the time when we play the stuff, we don't get to record it. Like, most of the stuff we do is specifically for feedback. And so, like, there's been quite a few trips where, like, I can't say what I'm doing, I can't say where I'm going, I can't say what I'm seeing, I can't talk about what I did see until long after. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these things that you end up doing is specifically for testing because they need outside eyes. So, like, the first time we played the story mode, I think we broke it. Like,
for BF5?
BF5, yeah, like okay. we broke it. We broke the tiger mission.
Oh, okay, yes. Last tiger.
The last tiger, me and somebody else killed the German tanks too fast.
Okay.
And so because it didn't meet the threshold of killing all the tanks in a certain amount of time, because basically we were killing them as they were coming in, so they didn't pass the zone where they were being detected, I guess, or something.
Okay, sure.
That we just sat in the in that big open, like, courtyard for like 25 minutes. I'm like, hey, where's the last tank? And it's like, it says it's over there. And it's because we killed them all too fast. But it's one of those things that, like, their testers aren't going to see that because they're trying to play through the way they're supposed to. Yeah. And so there's so many things that we've broken in the games, and so they have to go back and fix that. And then you come back like a day later, they're like, try this.
Do you feel
like, oh yeah, you still broke it?
Do you feel like now, today, that you're not doing that no more? We don't see you and Stod and everyone and Westy. You guys are not going out there and testing new content that's to be hyped up for. We don't see that no more. Even I think maybe in BF1 there was like a cutoff point where that all kind of stopped. I think.
It's when they started doing the CT stuff.
Yeah. So, do you feel like after all, for the past two games, BF1, BF5, do you feel like DICE is now gonna change the way content creators or EA game changers are gonna test their games? Do you feel like it's gonna be more exclusive? The game's done, we tested ourselves, and you guys play and hype it up, kind of thing. Do you feel like they're gonna change the way they're testing their game now?
I feel like if they're going to change anything, they need to get us out earlier and more often.
Even but you guys going to play a different way, though.
I mean, it's what it would come down to is a lot of the things that we get like final say in aren't things that we would want changed. Like that's the things that they're looking for change on. Because if they would have, if they would have flown me out to Stockholm and it was the like final DLC for Battlefield 1 and they're like, what do you think of this map? And it's Capileo or whatever it was.
Yeah, Caporetto.
Caporetto. Those boys showed me Caporetto the first time. I'd have told them go home. Like, at no point would I have ever been like, yeah, that map is the one I want to play next. Like, Never.
Or Heligoland Bite. You were there
no.
for that.
Oh, my sweet Jesus.
I have heard the stories, the horror stories.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys explained it pretty well in your YouTube videos.
Yeah,
But,
and so
my God, you know that from the data mining, they might put in another Heligoland Bite or an open ocean type of map coming out.
please don't.
Please don't do it. Last episode, I was even talking, I think, with Flackfire about this, and I don't know. Like, even with Chicken Beef or Lamb, who's another Twitch streamer, I told him about this. Like, do you know what they found out in the data mine, that there might incorporate naval combat? And you've seen like Westy videos of talking about naval combat's coming. Like, we see new boats here and there. Like, we could have, like the 1942 map that was out in the ocean. Like, they're gonna bring that back for this chapter. You excited? And I'm like, dude, did you not play Heligoland Bite or those other BF4 maps? Like, people want, I feel like, more infantry style. It'll feel out of place. That's what I think. But I mean, maybe tell me something I don't know about the horrors of Heligoland Bite, because I feel like I'm missing something there. I feel like there's a good story in there.
The first time we played it, I think there was like 6 ships, I think, total. So like 3 on each side. I think what did it end up with? Like 2 on each side by the time it was done, or something like that?
I think so.
You had the prominent vehicle using YouTubers in those boats, lobbing shots at each other from really far out. And then there were 58 people on the sea turret.
Yeah, the one on, I have a video up of it. It's the one on the left, right? Over there.
It's the one that's the big cannon, like right in the middle of that island. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you've ever played that map that much, but if you slam 58 people on that turret, it's a grinder. Like 99% of the map untouched. 58 people at a turret. And so they're all just like running around that center island. And so once everybody realizes that like most of the objectives are pretty much that island and the boat, because then you've got the one other island all the way out there. No one's there. There was one fight, one match where I think we went like half the game with no one capturing like E or whatever that is all the way out there.
The
like,
one in the back, yeah.
Yeah,
those are capped by like boats usually.
Why are we going here? Like, there's like we're like this. Why do we have this objective? Like, everybody wants to be right here. Like, why? Like, what are you doing?
It kind of reminds me of the new TDM map playlist that we have now on the Solomon Islands. I'm not sure. Have you given a play yet? Okay.
No.
On TDM on Solomon Islands, the map is literally half the Conquest map. So you even have the sea flag buildings in the TDM match, but when you actually play it, you're kind of just focused on the jungle area. That's where the spawns are. That's where everything seems to make sense. So I kind of feel that a computer generated the boundaries. Is that even true? Or like, do you think computers come into hand when it comes to like balancing specific EDM matches, or someone actually just draws that outline?
I think someone looks at it and says, "Hey, I think that's good." Like, there's some really weird boundaries that they do. And sometimes I feel like they allow, like, Hamada has like 50% of the map that never gets touched. Like, there's that part between, what is it? I think it's like C.
Yeah.
And then all the way to like F. And like, I think a buggy goes there once, like every match, and that's it. But there's all that area, and I feel like it's, and this comes from a person who I don't like historical combat games. I mean, I'll play them because I like shooters, and I like Battlefield, and so I play Battlefield 1, I play Battlefield 5. I think that historical shooters run into the issue of where you're trying to live in this world where these fights have happened and they're not balanced. Like, no matter what you can do, no one's fighting a fight on a balanced war. Like, if I'm going to war with somebody, I'm not going to be like, you know what, these guys have a good chance here. I'm going to go here. No, I'm going to go for the place that's, like, completely skewed in my favor. Like,
Yeah.
I want them to be like, yeah, we should probably just go. And not be like, I'm going to fight them here. And so all these historical maps are real battlegrounds where people have done things. And so,
Yeah. Do you well?
like,
let
they're
me
not
hold you.
balanced.
Let me hold you there. Do you think that these maps are big for the sake of being big?
Yeah, I think they're 100% made large to be able to, like, flex on games. Like, when they dropped Hamada before anybody in the public's ever played it, they were like, biggest map ever.
Panzerstorm also came.
Yeah.
That was the first DLC map, I guess. And there's a whole stream about it, and they're like, it's bigger than Hamada. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not really excited for that. Like, I'm more of an infantry player, kind of, but you know, I wouldn't just leave it to the tanks to battle it out. Like, I don't want to run around in that, you know?
Yeah.
But do you remember playing Panzerstorm?
Mhm.
What was your first thoughts on that?
Panzerstorm was quite different the first time I played it and
Okay.
between when they released it, because they changed where all the foliage and stuff like that. They just changed where all the foliage and everything was, so that way you had better clear paths. When I played it the first time, there was a lot less trees and like actual like lines to give you cover. It was just like patch a tree, patch a bush, patch a tree, patch a bush. Much like how what's the best map for it? Probably
Like Al Sudan?
Twisted, more like Twisted Steel. How Twisted Steel has
Twisted
like
Steel?
tree and bush stuff like randomly, where it looks like it actually
Oh.
belongs in the map rather than like
Okay,
put
like
there to
near
give
the
you cover.
water, near the rivers, there's like
Mhm.
groups of bushes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they added a lot more foliage and cover because they wanted a lot of like open tank battle stuff. But of course, you know, with our tanks, a lot of people just kind of like sit on hills and lob at each other. So
Yeah. Now that chat's talking about Al Sudan, that's my bad. Sorry for bringing up that word.
Oh, it's all
That was
good.
that was a trigger word.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to ask this directly to a developer, but maybe you might know. Maybe you asked the delay of you guys playing it. I remember you were with freaking. I have a clip of you with freaking Dr. Disrespect playing
Yep,
this
that's me.
game. Where was that? Let me see. Yeah, here.
That'd been easy to play.
Yeah.
I have a bunch
Yeah.
of people who are huge fans of you in my chat right now.
And
Yeah.
so he's in here. You guys are playing the new Hamada map. No, I'm sorry. The Al Sudan map. And Merida, I believe, as well.
Yep.
I think those two maps. And then we hear later on that we are delaying the release of Hamada due to some sort of graphical issue. Okay. Was it actually a graphical issue? Do you know? Or what happened with the delay? Do you know?
You know, honestly, I'm not sure what graphical issue stuff they might have. But if my guesstimations are correct, that a lot of the issues are coming from server side, then my guess is that somewhere on the coding between, you know, loading up the game on your game and then getting it over to the server and then back to you, I feel like maybe something was going wrong there. Because, like, in that room, we had no issues, but everything's closed. Like, everything's a closed circuit. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's just all routing to yourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like that maybe the issue is not necessarily the map, like its design or how things work, but the data it transmits across to each other, like through the network.
That's crazy how that affects in-game properties, like the Firestorm glitch of when the parachute is like coming out like really far into the sky and you can
Oh,
see
yeah.
players from a long. I think that's what ended up that artifact. I believe is what was causing that issue. I mean, causing the map from being delayed is that kind of thing.
Right.
Did you get that vibe, or was it something
Uh,
crazily different?
We never. I mean, like, are you talking about specifically for Firestorm?
No. For I
Okay.
mean, I was just comparing that Firestorm glitch to what happened in Al Sundan.
I imagine that probably the issue in Al Sundan was probably more stretched things like that, like something where the
Hmm.
characters were probably updating at two places or
I see.
artifacting of stuff. Like I think they even quoted artifacting on some of it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they
So
said artifacting or something like that.
so my guess is most likely that when things updated, they probably weren't updating smoothly, and so they
Hmm.
were leaving behind body parts, old stretched neck and stuff like that guy. Um,
Okay. All right. Well, there's a few other things that are trigger words for me.
Right.
Let's get on to the next topic here. When I was watching one of your videos about maybe a year ago, or like around when the time Battlefield 5 came out, there was an alternative to multiplayer. Of course, we got the war stories, right? Which is great. People love the war stories from BF1. BF5 ones were okay. They were really interesting. Had some good stories, like The Last Tiger that ended up coming out later, pretty much. Yeah, that was delayed for some reason. But anyway, the next thing that you could have played offline to an extent was Combined Arms. Now, looking, in the future now, should Battlefield ever continue in Combined Arms at its current state? Or maybe they should try it again, but have it way more in depth and maybe have more rewards connected to it?
Honestly, I think that the biggest thing with the Combined Arms is I think they just wanted to test their AI. Did you see the one where it like had them? Where Dice was training AI to basically play the game.
Yeah, and BF1, yeah, I remember these weird looking boxes that the AI would go towards and interact with, and they would climb over things, which was interesting. But yeah, I didn't quite notice the AI to be any better than what we saw. They're kind of goofy, to be honest, in Combined Arms.
Yeah, they were extremely goofy, but I think that I feel like they're trying to work for tech to be able to make their games bigger and fill spots based on people who either aren't there or to make it feel like bigger games. Because again, we're always talking about how
I see what you're saying.
how they're always trying to innovate.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me that if they just drop the next game with AI fighting with and against you. Because like Titanfall pushed that tech a lot too, and they did require respawn, which means they have access to that style of tech as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they're really working on trying to make something that includes AI in their game to make these bigger, more open, more quote immersive style titles.
So
Yeah,
comparing that
they
to
use AI in Battlefront 2 as well. Yeah, stuff like that.
But like, in terms of the industry, what do you think of scavs in Escape from Tarkov? Are they just goofy AI, or are they actually pretty competitive? Like
goofy AI. Oh my god,
I don't know. I never play the game, so
okay.
They aimbotters or what?
Tarkov is extremely Tarkov is extremely polarizing because they have these bots that are I wouldn't even say smart. They're effective. We'll go with effective. But they have two options. The bot is either the bot is either like a human rock, or the bot is just god tier. You're fighting Shroud.exe. Like
Oh,
Some
you
of
mean
them
like
just
some of those bosses you guys keep talking about? Like that
Yes.
dude with that cool looking mask, I guess. I forget what his name is, but he's like on another level, pretty much, right?
yeah. He
Killa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Killa from I always want to say intersection. I know that's wrong. But yeah,
Oh, his
he's
backstory.
on
Oh,
there, and
okay.
Killa, yeah, and he's just god tier interchange. There we go.
Mm.
And so what ends up happening is you just don't know what you're about to deal with, and so you just get these god tier bots show up sometimes. And you're just like, I guess I'm just dead, and so I just wonder if they're working towards trying to get these style bots, and I felt like the Combined Arms was just a great place to test it and give people a chance to try it out for them. It's like a public test area kind of thing.
That seems to be a trend. This whole we're gonna sell this game to a group of people and they're gonna test it for us, and that's just how it's gonna be. For BF5, all of BF5 seems like a community test environment. The whole game live as it is now, and even with Combined Arms, also a testing environment. Freaking everything in this game is a testing environment now. And
Right.
they're like, well, we don't need CTE anymore. Like, we just have the whole general population be the CTE for us. Do you get that vibe as well?
I don't think that was their intention, but I definitely
Okay,
feel like
interesting.
that's how it's getting shown. Like, I don't think they released the game and they're like, you know what? We're going to just have everybody test everything all the time. I mean, honestly, having everybody test everything all the time is going to be, the most foolproof way of finding out how the community is going to do it,
To an extent, yeah,
Work-
you're right.
yeah.
You're right.
Um,
But are we getting results from all this feedback we're giving them?
we are, but again, with everybody testing it, you're getting feedback from people who don't actually play that much. Imagine if
I get you.
Imagine if you're like playing the game like again once a week and you're like, "Oh man, let's see, what's this silly guy?" Like right now, someone who's like, "Oh man, the FG42 is just OP." You're like,
yeah, of course.
oh, yeah, okay. You died to it 12 times, but you just also just like face rolled into a guy playing in a corner. But he's the only it's you alone, and like what?
Well,
And
let's compare it
so-
to Type 2A right now.
Right.
That's what's going on
which
right
is
now.
completely balanced, of course.
Right, according to the feedback. Obviously,
Right.
like, I love this gun. This is the best gun. I hear that from people. People actually genuinely like it, and those types of weapons have been in every Battlefield game I can think of. Especially in BF1 or the SMG08 or the Automatico. This kind of seems like, this is the gun that's kind of like it, like the Suomi. People like that kind of stuff. They eat it up. But do they? Is that good for the game? I don't know. I don't think so.
The biggest issue, I think, is the same thing where I don't know. Maybe I feel like they're taking a MOBA standpoint on the way they're creating things.
MOBA.
One of the rules behind, like, you know what I mean by MOBA, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the rules behind creating something for a game that is generally like free to play or anything like that is you never create something that is either underpowered or average. You want to create something that's overpowered because everybody wants to use it. So you want people to come in and try to use it. You want people to want to use that gun, go to unlock it, because if it's average, nobody cares. And if it's bad, nobody cares. But if you release something that is just exceptionally good, everybody has to have it. And
That's an incentive. That's player incentive. It brings people back and it worked, And that was around the time where we were starving for content, because the TTK that we have now is still in place around that time. And now we have a super fast fire gun that goes against that TTK, and you can kill people. This brings people back. It's like, oh man, the grease gun, this Type 2A, it's like the TTK change never happened. I'm
Right.
like, whoa, wait a second, you can't do that. Like that's illegal. That goes against everything you were trying to change. And I feel like, wow, now they're messing up on where they want to go and direction wise with this game. But yeah, the Type 2A and something like that, I don't know, man. It's a weird struggle. Like, it's good for the game, and it's also bad for the game. I feel like maybe the best thing to do is, release it kind of pretty good, like it is now, and then nerf it like in a couple patches or something. That's usually what ends up happening, especially with the Automatico. They increased the horizontal recoil quite a bit, which is like what I think they're going to do with the Type 2A, keep everything else the same. It'll be a really hard gun to use at medium range. I think that's what they're going to end up doing. But the bad thing is what they did with the SMG08. Well, they released a bad gun that was kind of mediocre, and then all out of nowhere buff it in a random patch too, and give it like an insane fire rate with an insane ammo capacity. I think that would be the wrong way to introduce those types of easy mode weapons for the casuals or just people that like that kind of gameplay style. So it's a mess. It's a mess. But now that we're in TTK talk, let's just get right into it. Okay. You expressed yourself in one video, I believe, talking about the TTK that we got in this year. Or I mean, last year, late last year, December.
Yeah, the first time they tried to do this to us.
The first time. Now, I don't believe you've. Maybe you have on stream or something, like given your opinion about the first TTK debacle. What was your thoughts when they first did that? Because I know you were having fun with that MMG, all golded out. I think you're the first person that got it all gold. That MG42 was quite hilarious. And then they dropped this in December or last Christmas, or 2 Christmas ago, whatever it was. What did you think of it then?
I thought it was terrible. I thought that it's almost poetic in the way that they've continued to do this. But I feel like almost everything that they have released, they've backed off of and then tried to fix it. And I think that comes into a lot of what the problem is with what we have on Battlefield now. So they dropped the trailer with wacky cosmetics in this gritty war and then backtracked. And then they dropped the TTK that's supposed to be really fast for this gritty war, and then they pulled it back. And then everybody was like, whoa, no, this isn't okay. And so we fought back the first time, and they're like, okay, fine, you're right. We're sorry. We messed up. And then I feel like they're trying to still do it. I feel like they're still continuously trying to, like, backtrack into these ideas of what they think would have fixed it.
You made a really good point on your video, explaining the types of maps and distance engagements, view distance. It made sense for how the TTK was before. You have open maps. There's no haze like there was in the past, like in BF2 or Modern Warfare 2. And you got these powerful guns that we're used to from BF1 that can engage from long distances. We're used to sweet spot mechanics from BF1. And now we have even bigger maps. The biggest ever, right? Like, then we got firestorms. Like, this is 10 Hamadas in one map, you know? It's like, okay, great. That's awesome. But when you want to limit in distance engagements, now it doesn't make any sense. Like, now you need to add more cover for people to utilize those distances. I think they've forgotten. You made that point. It was a really good point on that. Do you feel like that's still the case? They just forgot that how their maps are designed?
I feel like they're doing the dice. They are just overcompensating because it's easier to go way too far and then drag it back than I think it is for them to, because like I'm a huge nerd. I play Magic the Gathering, and one of the biggest issues in things like Magic the Gathering is called power creep. Every time you try to do just a little bit stronger than the last time, a little bit stronger than the last time, and then all of a sudden you've got all this shit going on, and you're like, whoa, this isn't okay. And so you just nerf everything back to like a baseline. I feel like this is DICE's attempt where they've created this gun game monster where everything kills in seconds, like no matter what you do. And then they're like, we borked this one, kids. And then they're just trying to nerf it all the way back. And then they're going to slowly just kind of creep our damage right back out there to where they feel like it's comfortable for new people to play and old people don't hate it and they can find something comfortable. But they don't know how to find their mid ground. They just have to overcompensate completely and then hope that they can kind of like nudge it back out. It's okay.
Man,
it's
like,
okay.
Imagine, being a developer and trying to tell someone like, Adam Freeman and, Jeff Braddock's like, okay, this is what we're trying to do. And like put in an email out there to them. It's like, how do I like put this like in form? That must be really difficult to translate what they're trying to say because I don't want to get stuck in, oh my God, you're doing this again. And then we quickly learned when Adam put out that article about this is what DICE wants to do, we didn't buy it. Like it wasn't worded correct, and there was a lot of contradictions in there.
There was a lot of market speak.
There was a lot of market speak, and we're not dumb, like
right.
And it's only been a year since you did this before, so what gives? I don't know. It kind of seems like there's maybe infighting in there. I don't know. Did you perhaps get that vibe that maybe they're disagreeing with each other when they ask you specific feedback questions?
I don't know a content creator outside of I think Two Angry Gamers are probably the only ones who I feel like said, "Hey, the time to kill is too fast." And I mean. And so outside of them, I don't know many who were like this has to be changed. And realistically, the biggest issue that Two Angry Gamers had was they thought the tanks weren't fun. They weren't strong enough or, anything like that. They're very strong now, obviously. But the majority of us, none of us were like, we really need to change the way the guns work. I feel like that a lot of the complaints come from just not us, and that's okay. We're content creators, sure. We talk a lot about the game, sure. That's perfectly fine, but we're not the majority of what they're trying to appease. And I think they were just getting enough complaints that like people weren't sticking into the game. Obviously, not actual complaints, but like data points where it's like new person picks up game, plays game for 2 hours, never comes back, and stuff like that. And so I think that they're looking to try to find a way to save that market. And I just don't think they figured out what they need to do for it yet. And of course they can ask us, but I think they're afraid also that we're going to give them the same information we've always given them, and they feel like that's not working right now. So
yeah, I think they're gonna. I have hope that they're gonna somewhat address this quite significantly in a 6.2 patch. I feel like a lot of people are gonna be surprised by what they do, but I've heard some things about some gun balances, and it's not as great as 5.0, but it's like close to it. So this might bring people back, but I'm not sure if they really are gonna go in depth on it. But anyway, that's what's coming up. 6.2 is the new patch, which should be coming either next week or the week after. Like I always say that, but like they finalized the patch notes last Friday, and we should hear something about it coming up this week. I'm sure of it. Whether it's going to be released or not, I don't know. But they're also gonna. What scares me, Fire, is they're gonna perhaps release the finally anticipated tank body customization.
Soon.
Now, soon, yeah. Now, my God, whenever they introduce new items or new things to the game, things get really, really squirrely, you know, like
Invisible tanks coming to you.
yeah, I'm just saying,
Does not render.
Prepare yourselves.
Floating tank. It's just like, I mean, it's gonna be like the old LMG guys who like laid in bushes and just like, blah, except for now it's gonna be a tank.
I have a clip for you. I think it's
Oh, God.
called where is it? AAA game. Ah, yes. Here, this one.
Skirt's falling off. Your skirt's falling off. You should put that back on. Oh yeah,
Put it back on.
Yeah. When this is driving by itself,
this is
what
me
is?
playing
Okay, no wait.
with
There's a
the,
person.
new
He's
Phantom
just
Squad.
He's just down there.
Only
I don't know how
$15
he can in the
see,
store right now.
nor
You
turn
two
the
can have a Phantom Squad. One who ghost rides. Look at that guy. He is he is.
And
best.
this is on console, yeah?
Yeah, this is on Xbox. Yeah, live game.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And this was not too long. This is January 24, 2020.
Yeah,
Whoa, that's
this
like,
is like last month. Yeah, a couple weeks back.
literally last month. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. There was another one here. I'll put the
Mhm.
audio on this one here.
Okay.
This is goofy.
Oh my. Oh yeah. This guy is in
there's
the boat. There's a lot of goofy I get. Can't even see him. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
What is this? Who
He's
knows
literally
where? Okay.
invisible in the boat shooting me. Help!
Yeah. No.
Help!
What a mess.
I shot where it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was last month. Wow. Okay. So,
Yep.
you know, it's we're looking at your feedback and we put it on the Trello board. Okay, FyrBorne, calm down.
Right.
They're gonna fix
Right.
it.
They're gonna fix it. Hey, I'll be right back, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. But thank you guys so much for joining in here, Engineer God. Thank you for the raid earlier on. Thank you guys for all the follows. Welcome to the Battlefield Show. It's a weekly podcast / talk show that I invite new players, new content creators of all types. And it's usually always a new guest that comes in here every single week. So next week we'll have someone different, maybe from a different background, maybe from console side, to give you a hint, maybe. So we'll see what's coming up. I don't want to tease any more than that, but I've been waiting to get FyrBorne on here for a long time. So thank you guys for joining up. Welcome back, FyrBorne. Okay, so another thing that you brought up in one of your videos was the introduction, or like the first trailer for BF5, and you were pretty excited about how you can make your own bad company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they brought in the term your own company, your company.
Right.
And that's a big keyword because people love Bad Company and all the cool cosmetics that they had. And it's like, this is a really good idea. And I feel like you were pretty excited about that. So was I. And when they showed us the trailer offering the cosmetics and the customization, boy, we've never seen this type of in-depth cosmetic customization. Now that we're here in the future, a year and a half later, are you still able to make your own Bad Company?
Yes.
In a World War II era?
Kinda. There was a gigantic divide on what people wanted. And I don't feel like either side was well taken care of. I think if they would have just stuck to their guns and made these wacky, crazy guys and, gave us, prosthetic arms and crazy eye patches and a little bit like more exciting hairdos or whatever, anything like that, any kind of stuff like that, they could have full sent into something that felt like both exciting for people to be customized, and then also, something that you can like work towards. But they didn't. And they also didn't full send into World War II authentic. Like, and so where they
I think
missed both
yeah.
points,
Mhm.
it's just like it's lukewarm on either way.
So, do you think they really took in that it's not authentic thing seriously? Like, we can't, like, our stuff, we got some goofy stuff in these files here that we want to ship out for cosmetics that people can earn. And when I heard that live stream of the producer saying, "Oh, remember all those goofy things? We've really took those out and we're going more authentic."
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why they didn't go with it. Why didn't they go with their initial vision, which was crazy cosmetics in a World War II setting, and why didn't they sell it that way? Do you think that the people with the, I don't know, maybe the market at the time was like, if you're doing a World War II era game, you cannot disrespect that war. You need to have it authentic, or people are going to lose your mind and you're not going to sell any games. You feel that way?
I feel like it got. I feel like this. So Hardline got ripped apart by the YouTube community. I feel like Battlefield 5 is Dice Sweden's Hardline. I feel like it's a game that got just shredded before it ever came out and didn't really have a chance. And I feel like where Dice Sweden is a much larger studio, they attempted to fix that. And I think that it was probably just too much to have to change. I think they had all these assets built with all these ideas, and they had this big grand idea of this like first fully customizable, gritty yet fun sandbox style idea game that they released the trailer for, that was just brutalized. Every part of that trailer was wrong to somebody on the internet at the time. And I just feel like that they were like, "Oh, we gotta band-aid this," and I don't think it worked out in the way that they wanted.
Yeah. Everyone talking about the gas masks situation.
Yeah.
I feel
a
like
million gas masks.
when you go into like an army surplus store,
Mm-hmm.
what's like the number one thing you look for? A gas mask, right? I felt
Right.
like they had a humongous stack of gas masks that they wanted to scan into their, digital scanner thing, because that's where they take most of these uniforms from like real life things. I feel like they just had an abundance of them, and then at the point where like, well, let's just attach one here, put one there. Same with goggles. Like, these are like easy types of things to scan in. It's cheap, and we can put it everywhere because it'll look cool. At canteens, like I feel like the next thing that would be in abundance is gas masks, and that maybe that's why they just went ham on gas masks, because it looked cool too. I mean,
and
all
I
the
think
ads,
they had a lot of assets left from Battlefield 1 on it.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, look at the you know what's really interesting that I've noticed is that the, what do you call this, the special elite soldiers that they have for sale.
Yeah.
If you look closely in the first trailer, the announcement trailer, you can see the guy with the weird patch on his eye, the bald man at I forget what his name is. He's actually in that trailer with the white mask over his face. If you look closely, it's right after when the plane hit the ground. You can see one of the elite soldiers there. And now with all the Pacific promotion, remember that jacket that was in the first trailer called, like, it's like born to die or something, or born to kill, and it has all that. Guess who has that jacket now? Our dude Steve. Steve is going to be one of the new elites that is coming out. I only remember it because your big brother Steve loves that name, so that's the only reason why I remember that guy's name. But he's going to be one of the new elite soldiers that has the actual jacket from the release. And I feel like they still have all these crazy, wacky cosmetics. And I'm at this point like, does anyone really care if you're gonna, think about the whole authenticity? I don't think so. Like,
Right.
stop drip feeding us. Like, maybe, I don't know. I feel like we need to. I want my claws, man. I want my claws. I want my hooks.
Think about back to the alpha and the beta. We had the support guy had the Jason mask on.
Yeah, I was.
That's not in here.
There's
it's not in the game anywhere right now. Yeah, and
from this gameplay.
And so that's what I'm saying about DICE like banding backwards and then just slowly pushing forward. I feel like that they're just slowly edging out all of these like crazy cosmetics again now. Like where they pull it back like, hey, we're not doing it, but we're doing it.
Yeah, but we're kind of disguising into the elite soldiers, which are Man, the first ones that they released were very jarring. I'm like, whoa, this lady looks like an alien with the gas mask on and everything.
Oh yeah, I never know how to say her name right. It's whatever.
Was it Ela Schautenfreier? I don't freaking know, but
it's like Shadow Wolf is her last name or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was very, very creepy. But anyway, so I mean, are you able to make your own bad company? Kinda. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, kinda. And then they went further into trying to make each character unique because then they tied the cosmetics to that one body.
Ah, yeah.
Because before it was like everybody was running like 4 Gunthers and like just dressed him differently. And then they're like, no, you got to use different models at least. And so now you got 4 different models with different clothing sets and stuff. But I feel like it's them trying to slowly like work more and more into the like each individual little unique piece. And I don't know. I mean, at this point, I think that there's been just so many errors on the front end of this that on the back end, I think they're realistically just testing stuff for the next build, like the next game. So, like,
yeah, I can see that. But I mean, for one of the final topics I want to talk about is So in chapter 5, they had a big positive boost, right?
Massive.
And then it was awesome, and I enjoyed the Iwo Jima breakthrough for the first time. I was really stoked for it, and we still had the glorious TTK at that point. And then all of a sudden, they decided to take a dump all over that excitement I had, and I was really mad. So. And you expressed yourself in one of your videos on that. It wasn't a great idea. So now we're in a slump. So now we need a little more hype. And maybe that 6.2 patch might be the new Chapter 5 boost. Maybe. But they're going to have to work for that. But when it comes to time that they have now a year and maybe a year and a half to keep this live service going, right? And I feel like that's plenty of time to make this game right, because we got a promise from the CEO at DICE that we're gonna make this, we're gonna right this ship, I think, quote unquote. So I think they have enough time to do so, and I hope they do it. And I hope BF5 becomes the next Battlefield 4, because a lot of people love Battlefield 4. I'm hoping for that. But the last topic here is the next game. They're working on the next game.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want... I asked a few guests before, is what do you want out of the next Battlefield game? What kind of... Let's just start with setting first. What kind of setting do you want for the next Battlefield game?
I would rather... My biggest thing is I want a made-up war in whatever time they ever want to put it in. I'd rather have modern. I love modern weapons. As a person who owns modern weapons and prefers them just in their style and in customization and things like that, I prefer modern style gameplay. That's what I want. It's what I would love to see. I'd play something else, but of course I would prefer modern shooter, and I need it to be made up. I need whatever they're dealing with to be made up, because I'm tired of fighting on historically accurate, unbalanced places.
Yeah, I get that sentiment a lot. The only person that disagrees with us is Flackfire. He wants a Korean
yeah.
war for some reason.
Well,
I
it's
feel
because
like
Flack lives in the history, so
yeah. But yeah, that's the sentiment. What I'm thinking is it seems like everyone is predicting that that's going to be the next era. It's going to be modern or somewhat slightly distant future modern, like BF4 was slightly distant
Right.
future.
Yeah.
And from there, I mean, they can go cosmetic crazy if they want, and they can make up whatever they want at that point, and it'll be cool. A lot of people like that. Now, from going from Hardline, which wasn't the main type of Battlefield, but let's just say
Right.
Hardline never existed. Let's say they went from Battlefield 4, and then they went back because World War II was great. Then they went to World War One, and it was a successful launch. Like, that was crazy. Like, no one really expected that to be a thing. Holy crap! They just made a World War One game, and this is awesome, right?
Right.
What goes to show that, you know, they go from World War One and World War Two? That makes sense. But the next game coming out, it could literally be anything.
World War III. Like, haha, we prepped it.
And I don't know. I feel like it could be go back to the goddamn Civil War. It could be Battlefield 2143. It could be muskets and all that, cannonballs and stuff. It really could be anything. It just depends on what's good for the market. So people all dead set on modern, dude, don't think that's gonna be the next game, because man, they might boot pirates, dude. That would be fun.
Right.
Cosmetic heaven right there.
Here's the biggest thing. Whatever Treyarch does is what they're going against. Because, you know,
how do you
Call of Duty
explain
is
the
what they're
BF1?
fighting.
How do you explain the BF1?
Battlefield 1 was extremely successful. One, because the trailer was through the roof and good responses.
What did
Call of
Treyarch
Duty
do?
came out. Yeah, Call of Duty, they were dealing with, I think, Sledgehammer Games for Infinite Warfare, which was literally the worst received Call of Duty to ever exist. People were tired of futuristic war. People were tired of jetpacks. People were tired of all this stuff, and it was the most disliked video on YouTube, like video game one or whatever. Infinite War. Which one am I? Is that Infinity War? Did Infinite Warfare? Which one? Then that's probably right. Yeah. And so
okay.
Yeah, and so it was an extremely overdone game type or like setting at the moment, with a bad trailer. And then Battlefield came out with an extremely well done trailer in a never before done war for a AAA title or whatever, however that was worded. And it was just extremely contrasting, and so it did so well. Yeah, and Battlefield 1's trailer was one of the most liked trailers of all time. Yeah, it was so well received. But it's still contrasting. If Battlefield comes out with a modern shooter next, no matter what they do, they are going to be compared to Modern Warfare. And that is not a good look. No matter what they do, they're still dealing with probably Call of Duty's best released title in a long time. So whatever... And then, of course, they'll be dealing with the really high momentum off of Modern Warfare into whatever Treyarch is making. And so...
Okay.
So it's looking more, they always release around the same time.
True.
Yeah. So what they need to do with Treyarch most likely reviving their Black Ops series, because it's going to be an era for remaking their games. They probably need to avoid like common day modern. They may actually do well going futuristic, honestly. And I hate to say that because that's not where I want to be, but it's probably going to be their best bet.
You said you never played 2143, right?
No, I've never played it. I've just watched it.
And the Walkers Titan mode.
Mhm.
Ah, dude, I really thought there was gonna be a Titan mode in BF1 when they showed that trailer there. There's a few of them. I know they're advertising the Pacific War one.
Yep.
But there's a few good ones. Was it the launch?
For Battlefield 1?
Which one's the really is this one? No. Was it this one? I forget.
80s Cold War would be great. I would be all about that if they did alternate universe. I would love to see them go through an entire series of alternate universe fighting. I would be about it, but man,
Yeah.
it would probably get slaughtered. It
Okay.
would be just slaughtered from head down.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, okay. So, what about a different engine instead of Frostbite?
Man, they would be working hard on that one. They'd have to either make a new engine because it's proprietary for EA now. EA owns Frostbite, so that's why it's on their FIFA and their Battlefield and Battlefront, and so they're either going to have to make a new engine, which I see highly unlikely. Oh my god, Anthem, yeah.
Anthem.
And Anthem 2 soon TM. And so they either need to make a new version of Frostbite that's just easier, or they're going to be paying out the butt for like a Unity or something else. Like, and I don't foresee that happening. So unless they make something new, I don't think we're going to see any changes. And the problem is we have so many legacy bugs and just so many developers complaining about Frostbite. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's so difficult to work in. Apparently. I don't know. I don't do it, so I can't say anything.
Me neither. I just go off
I can
that.
just tell you hearsay I see.
Yeah, I always go off that Kotaku article involving Anthem and BioWare and their shortcomings. And when I read in that article that they had DICE developers go to BioWare to help them code the game, apparently.
Oh man.
I feel like that really slowed down the development process for Battlefield 5. But I don't know if that's true. It's just a theory I have as to why a lot of things were delayed or were not finished, like Combined Arms or Firestorm or specific the what's it called, the shooting range,
where we have an unfinished Easter egg in it still.
Body tank customization. Like, I shouldn't be able to list this many things here, Fire.
You can keep going, I'm sure, and that's the problem. I mean,
it's not good.
So much.
Yeah. Last time I went over I think it was like the top 10 priorities top 10 priorities to fix Battlefield 5. Let me know if you agree with this list here, and then we'll end the show pretty much. This is my opinion, but the number one thing that DICE needs to focus on right now is anti-cheat and cheaters. I feel like that right away is the churn that they're talking about is just going, like, it's skyrocketing. Like, people are not coming back because, and especially in specific regions, like the Asian servers, OCE servers, it's just riddled with cheaters and we need an anti-cheat of some sort, where people are confident that hackers are getting banned within a decent amount of time. Right. Have you heard anything with EA developing a new anti-cheat for their games in the future?
No, most every one of the ones I know still use like easy cheat or whatever it is or something like that.
I never heard.
You want to know the worst part about that at least Point is? That is probably one of the ones they're probably the least concerned with, because the majority of their player base are console now. at this point, I mean, once we consider, player turnover already, I mean, when you consider the people who are still playing, it's going to be mostly console. I mean, at this time, a year later. So anti-cheat isn't really something we deal with nearly as much.
Yeah.
Or well, cheaters on console. So you're probably looking at that one's priority, despite being extremely high, is probably really low on the resolve list.
Okay. But Call of Duty with Modern Warfare is introducing crossplay. Yeah.
Right.
And
Needs to be.
if you're gonna be introducing crossplay for Battlefield, which pretty certain they might go in that direction.
Next title, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so if they don't have anti-cheat, there goes your console people, right? And we're all going to be in the same boat together.
Right.
So how can that be on the low on priority, right?
I think it's low on priority now because it's not something they're having to deal with now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, the next thing, which I agree with someone on here who said performance would be kind of goes hand in hand. I put performance a little lesser, but performance on console is like non-negotiable kind of stuff.
Right.
Performance on console being worse than PC performance, that's not good at all. And especially with all these new maps, every time they release it, like the Operation Underground. Did you play that on console?
Yes.
Did you notice bad performance?
Beginning of the match.
Just the beginning
probably
of the match.
The worst. Yeah.
And the Solomon Islands that came out. Did you?
That one's been mostly fine.
Okay.
Mostly fine. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, again, I mean, it kind of goes in hand, but when my actual number 2, which I agree with Sancho's there on that needs to be a priority for sure. But the next thing I noticed was region locking or a ping limiter of some sort. I'm not sure how it would work in its current setup, but my God, for some reason, it feels so much different than how it felt in Battlefield 1. And I think it's to your point of something's weird with these new servers we have.
Yeah.
One example is me and my friends went to a German server that had 168 ping, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
And when we went in there, sure, we have the indicator saying, your ping is really high and you're losing packet loss or whatever, server disconnect issues. But when we're playing it, it feels normal. The only thing that's weird is only a little bit delay in kill.
Okay.
But the other thing I noticed is that we seem to be getting away with a lot of kills that we shouldn't be, like we would in the West Coast, right?
Right.
And the spawning, the late spawning, I felt like we got away with that a lot more on German servers. So, did you remember in BF1 they had some sort of ping limiter? Do you remember that?
Yeah, they had the ones that you could run. But they also had introduced in that one like the ping lead indicator, so where you had to like showed you where you could aim if you were trying to make up for the ping difference.
What was that all about? Like that must have been really confusing for some people, or just didn't care. But
yeah, it was really weird. I don't know why. And I feel like their servers are getting confused, because do you remember when it was like a week where the servers would be like, it'd be like, this is a German server, but you have a 20 ping, and it's like because it's not really a German server. I still feel like the servers are having so many issues on them trying to figure out how to do it. Like, I don't know if they're loading up these servers and like things are getting confused, or because it'll auto match make me to Singapore, and I'm like, why am I in here? And it'd be like,
right,
quick match. You like that, right? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
But
and
I
also
agree.
when you go into an advanced search, for both PC and console, well, I'm not sure about console, but when I hit that button, it shows me servers, but all the servers are jumbled. And if people don't understand what ping is or connection issues are, they're just going to join the one that's open. They're looking at how many slots are available, and they're like, oh, 63 or 64, join, right? But they don't know that they're on an Asian server or something with 150 ping. But when they're playing, they don't notice anything different. They probably think it's their own internet or something that's causing this lag, or their own PC or something. Seems to be quite an issue. So that's why I had it that really high up in my priorities list, because that seems like that could be an easy fix, something they can do right away by, just having the default pings sorted out correctly when you hit that button.
Right.
Or have that Battlefield 1 leader, the ping, you know what I'm talking about, that lead, you have to lead so you don't get an advantage, basically.
Right. I think that you shouldn't be shown servers past a certain ping unless you I understand I'm going to be playing out of my region and will be at a disadvantage kind of thing. I feel like there should be something that says these are the servers you should play in. These are the servers you could play in, and these are the servers you shouldn't and will be at a disadvantage for.
I like that. Okay. The next one I had on my list was the rental server program.
Oh my god.
Did you want a rental server program?
Rental
BF5?
server programs are not only extremely good, I think they are necessary for a game of this size that features a sandbox inspiration. And that's a really PG way of saying a lot of bad things that I want to say. The rental server program is the reason why we have Battlefield today in the aspect that we have it.
Uh-huh.
The communities themselves are what have created Battlefield for what we expect out of it, and are the ones who continue to let Battlefield exist in the world that it exists in today. And now Battlefield is in a state that it's in for the first time that it's been like this bad for this long. I mean, obviously Battlefield 4 was a similar way in the way that it came out acting poorly, but it only really went mostly up from there. Now, of course, we can't ignore the fact that Battlefield 4 really shit the bed at the very beginning, but Battlefield 4 from the beginning had those servers, and they could, like, DICE could wake up one day and look at the servers and be like, oh, people want to play these 3 million ticket Operation Locker servers over and over and over again, and we can let them do it. I think RSP truly has been on the chopping block for not being, they say not being able to provide an experience that people expect if they don't know what Battlefield is, right? So they're talking about how you don't want to join one server that's 3 million tickets only on one map and one server that's 100 tickets on every map in the game, and it jumps back and forth and people get confused on how you're supposed to play the game. I honestly think that RSP could not make it into the game because it would overall destroy the entire existence of Tides of War.
Yeah.
Tides of War cannot exist in a world where you have to get, say, 1,000 damage with a MMG. Just go load up a private server, get 1,000 damage, and then that's your day over. Or just have those servers like Hardline, where it was like Hardline had 24/7 don't shoot me hotwire. Like, you end up running into all of these systems, in which case it defeats the purpose of progression. And I think they were putting so much money into this idea of Tides of War, they didn't want anything to stand in the way between them being able to build progression and them still being able to provide a game where you could progress in it.
That is an interesting aspect. I didn't really think of it that way. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm comparing it to all the previous Battlefield games that had a rental server program, and I didn't have any problems doing achievements.
Right.
Maybe the Tides of War was... Why couldn't they just adapt to that situation?
Right.
now they have to turn off Tides of War bonuses, or like the rewards, or XP.
They
I
are.
mean, sorry. When you have
Mhm.
the rental server program that we have now, which is pretty much bare bones and useless.
Right.
Even if you want to use it for your private matches, it's kind of like, it's tedious. You can't like move people over. And I've been talking to I talked to people like Dynamics, who thank you for the raid. Welcome to the show. And I was talking to Dynamics on the show, and he, I mean, at least was participating in many of these sweaty tournaments that they called it. And they
Right.
had a whole bunch of good players come in, and we would make they would make a private server. And the one, I was like, well, what's the one issue that really bothers you guys about that? Is like, well, it's really hard to get it started, for God's sake, and we can't
Right.
team switch people, and you have to disconnect and join on a friend and reconnect again. And it's like, just add a team switcher, Dice. Like, what the heck is going on here? And yeah, that's one of like, this is too bare bones, you know. And yeah, now Enders brings up a good point. Now there's no good maps to enjoy because I guess they're buggy or something. Like people are getting stuck in the loading screen, so there's a big community out there. Of them,
all the squad
talking.
conquest stuff was just broken. Like 90% of the maps were apparently broken on something.
Yeah, so now it's kind of dead in the water for. I mean, maybe Brother Steve can talk about this, because he would shoutcast for a lot of that, or who's the other? Rick Shade, who also does these, console PvP events or private events, and there's no more good maps in rotation now, and they had to stop it. So that was just one of the priorities that I think DICE should take a look at. Hopefully we'll get some news about it soon. But yeah, anyway, the next one is obvious, is the team balancer. Now, team balancer for BF1, that used to be mid-game, yeah? Mid-game?
It could be, yeah. It would kick it up and be like, hey, by the way, you're on the other team now.
Yeah, do you think Battlefield should have something like that, or do you have a different idea for a balancer, a team balancer?
I suggested, because Battlefield 4 Battlefield 4, of course, was custom servers pretty much only by the time it was all said and done. There was rarely any server that you ever went to that wasn't owned by somebody. Like, I lived my life in AOD servers, both Battlefield 4 and 1.
Yep, same.
That's what I did. And I knew that no matter what happened when I joined in there, it was going to be at least a mostly even game, and everything was going to be fine. And if it wasn't, people would get moved around, and it'd be fine. And then they featured the auto balancer that you just like woke up on the other team sometimes. You like died, you woke up, you're like, I'm German now, I guess. I don't know what's happening, but I'm there. I think that one of the biggest things isn't necessarily, I don't think a forced team balancer is going to do well, because that leads to a lot of like people leaving.
Okay.
So like your team's winning by 1,000, and then you wake up on the other team, you're like, well, I guess I lose now. Thanks, game.
I remember a few Battlefield 1 matches where that happened. Exactly.
Yep. I think that offering people rewards in game, be it badges or skins or XP at the end of the round for swapping to the losing team, like people would get the prompt to be like, would you like to swap to the other team? Press R3 or F1 or whatever, and it's like at the end of the round you'll receive bonus XP and not receive a loss or something like that. And so people would be able to take a chance to be like, hey, I know that it's not balanced. Hey, I know I'm not going to be on the winning team, but I'm going to get something for it, and we'll make a more interesting fight.
But are you talking about individual, or like if you're playing with a squad of friends, if the squad leader decides to do that, will it rip everybody from that squad, or do you think just individuals?
I think it would prioritize individuals, and then if it can't, then it could offer it to squads to swap to.
Okay, I like that. I like everything that has to do with player incentive, player rewarding. They're just thinking about the player. and playing a game and having fun. I feel like this game lacks that a lot, and there's no a whole lot of reward systems going on. And I just think, from people buying the deluxe edition, like they didn't really get their money's worth. They feel cheated, and there's been any compensation for that. There hasn't been any certain perhaps like rewards for doing specific things that would be beneficial, like the assignment system.
Yeah.
Most of the assignments want you to prone or stay in a certain objective and not continuously push. You have to go for these hard headshots that are really hard, and like there's not a whole lot of player incentive, player appreciation. I talked a lot about that with Blackfire, and he brought up a lot of good ideas like you brought up. And I'm surprised because you guys are, you talk with the developers, and everything seems right. Like you guys give pretty good feedback, but we never see it in the final iteration of the game. So I love that idea, dude. I really do.
That part is one of the reasons why when we were talking about earlier, I said that we need to be there earlier.
Yeah.
And I understand from a company standpoint that getting us too far in advance is risky. Like having us look at something before it's even halfway completed is risky to a business, because let's be honest, there are people out there who will just sell their soul for whatever they can, whatever 5 minutes of clout they can get. They're going to. Like, if you flew us out to Stockholm and we got to see Battlefield 5 World War II happening long before Battlefield 5 was ever really on the radar for anybody, like, somebody out there is going to be like, oh my God, Kotaku, $5,000, you got a deal. Like, it's one of those things that, like, there's going to be somebody that's going to do it, and they shouldn't do it, but they're going to do it. And so I understand they're trying to protect this investment, this EA investment, by not letting us in there. But having the ability to get in there earlier to save them from these decisions ahead of time would be so wonderful. Because one of the big things that we have to deal with is we make some of these discussions and these points, and we say these things, and they're like, that's great. We're not going to have time to make that beforehand. And I feel like a large portion of what Battlefield 5 is sitting under is a world full of developers who are they're stat whores now. Back when they started making Battlefield games, they made Battlefield games that they wanted to make, that they thought would be fun, and then 7 months later they would get the numbers from whatever system they were working on, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was really good. That worked out." Whereas now they're getting these live numbers all the time. And I feel like a lot of what they're dealing with is like they do something and they see a player count drop off, and then they knee jerk back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then it may be unrelated to the patch they did. Maybe it wasn't the patch that broke their, the game that made people quit. They quit playing it because they just haven't got anything new in 6 months. Like, and so I just feel like a lot of too much data is ruining their creations, because they're getting afraid to change things or make things or let things be fun. Like, they removed tank bouncing from the game because they're like, no, that's dumb, that wouldn't happen. But like, how many videos?
What was that? Tank bouncing? What?
Tank bouncing, like you would see like Pony Lion like bounce a tank into the air and catch it on a plane and then fly it around, and like like
putting like dynamite and stuff underneath and blowing them up into the sky.
Like, the blow up the tank, it flies through the air. They shoot a plane down while they're flying through the air.
Ah, yes.
And so like they're looking at these stats and these numbers, and they're hyper focusing on stuff like that. And they're forgetting about all the fun stuff that we used to do that was just silly.
Yeah, I feel like they're starting to do that a little bit. But yeah, and I agree with most of your points there. It's just the other things that are troubling this game are pretty minute. Like they're on the bottom of my list. Like the tank balance issues right now. Tanks are just killing. I mean, I'm watching your stream, Big Brother Steve's stream on console, and like you literally can't play Wake Island without getting killed by a tank every 2 seconds. Every point you go is there's a tank.
A million
everywhere.
of them.
And PC, I was playing Grand Ops. Can you believe that? I was playing Grand Ops in 2020. We found a random server. We joined up on it, and it was on Panzerstorm. And after this, after the second or after the first capture point, you go into the next one. I counted 9 tanks on the attacking team and only 3 on ours. So there's like 12 tanks going out, and most of the people around are playing medic because they like the new guns. And there's just not enough damage from these. Tank balance is a problem. I hope they really address that in the next patch.
That's like day one Soissons from Battlefield 1 when there was like 11 RD trucks like firing at you down the hill. You're like, okay, well, I guess I'm done. Thanks.
Guess I'm dead.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, the others were just audio designs. They say that they're going to keep change up audio and footsteps and improving on that. That's great, you know. People are asking for a roadmap, perhaps, coming up. Yeah, I mean, whatever. And, you know, spotting is an issue as well. And just other assignments, UI issues. I'm sure most of those things will get fixed over time. But I pretty much mentioned, and we talked about everything that makes Battlefield successful in the past. And the fact that I am actually listing these 10 things, priorities, this is what makes a game good, like no matter what game, really.
Right.
And if I'm listing that many things, that means your game's probably not that very good. So they're going to have to take a look at those. And hopefully in that year or 2 years that we're playing Battlefield 5, they'll remedy those, but they'll have to work hard for that. We do have some topics here that people wanted to talk about here. Brother Steve brought up a topic here: cross-platform saving progress. So if you go from Xbox and you have a rank and then all these unlocks, and then you go to PC with that same account, what do you think? I feel like you're tied to that account. That's not something the game can change. It has something that Microsoft or Sony has to change. No.
The only thing they could do is if they do kind of like how Epic does, where they link your account to your accounts prior. You would have to establish your accounts ahead of time, link them all on the Origin website, and then play the game. And then that would probably work, but they would still not allow your like purchases to transfer, because that's where they make their money and they want to get you for that. So game progress, maybe. I find that they still want to try to keep you as a player as engaged as possible, and so maybe forcing you to unlock things. So maybe they let you keep your rank in weapons, but force you to have to unlock the camos again, or force you to unlock, because they don't want to allow you to just basically walk into a game with it, because then they might be afraid that you might game share with a friend who then buys it on PC, and you buy it on PS4, and you both level up your account to try to get these crazy numbers up there or whatever. So there would be, of course, limitations on it, but I could see the account the account linking in the future, but it would be very limited, I think, on what they would allow you to transfer.
Gotcha. That'll be an ongoing evolution of just gaming in general. Doesn't have to be first-person shooters. Really, any game that has multiplayer. I feel like the industry has got that covered. It's just going to take some time.
And they hate it too.
And they probably hate it really much.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for bringing up that topic. CyberSage has one here: bug fixes like memory management inconsistencies and doing things that get you stuck.
Aka frostbite feature. It is. I don't think I've ever played a Battlefield title in which I didn't get stuck on something, or in something, or under something, spawn inside of a tank and it just drag you around, or like, I don't know. I think
expect it
unfortunately
now.
enough, yeah, I think unfortunately enough, Battlefield is such a large game that we will never not get stuck in it. I don't think it'll ever happen. I watched Daz free fall with a parachute for 35 minutes under a map the other day. I like it. There's just like nothing. Like some things are just bound to happen. It's gonna be dumb. Of course, if they can, the more of it they can fix, the better. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm. Bugs, legacy bugs are fun.
Yeah. If you guys want to bring up a topic, someone asked here in the chat, you either use donations or through the channel points, the Jengu coins. They cost like 400 Jengu coins to bring up a topic, and we'll bring it up. That's how you do it. You'll see my face down there. It says channel points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Was there another? Someone bring up another one here. Let me look. I'm scrolling through. I think there's a lot of chatters. Thank you guys.
We love it.
The actual audio mix is 100% broken, Cyber Sage. Sometimes I can hear people behind me, and sometimes I can't. I mean, it's half broken, right?
Yay!
Yay.
Forward progression.
Yes, we're making it. Okay.
Let's see here. I think the biggest
Yeah,
thing they need to do right now, when we're talking about like things I think that the game needs better community interaction by whatever means possible right now. Because the biggest thing is they obviously, with our RSP being pretty hot garbage, anything that they could do to make people more willing to work together as a community, for like, they haven't done a community challenge since what, Battlefield 1? Like, why don't they do more silly stuff that makes us actually have to work together?
I think more player appreciation would go a long way. It really would. And they have the structure there already. The events, the Tides of Wars, the rewards from all those Tides of War missions every week. You know what got me really excited? When they released the Solomon Islands, we got 2 free guns right away. And they should have owned that, man. Even if it was a mistake, I don't know if that's lying or whatever, but they should have owned that, man. And like say, here you guys go, 2 free guns on us. Don't have to do nothing, and enjoy the map 3 days early. Have fun, and tweet it out. But they're like, "Oops, we made a mistake. We accidentally released 2 weapons. My bad." So that tells me, oh, you didn't mean what we thought you meant. So I was very sad after that. But yeah, new things, like, oh my god, like a lot of people are bringing up earlier in the stream here, the show shot in the single player.
Since and release. It was a multiplayer for like 2 people.
Yeah, it was a multiplayer for a couple people. I think that would be cool. Just give it to make it an event randomly. Like, oh hey, you know, we had enough time to code the show shot and add all the specializations to it. I'm sure that doesn't take that much time. And then here you go, have fun. Like, call it the Tides of War. You know, PM me your show shot pictures, like things like that. It'll be really fun. We need more of that for sure. Yeah. Okay. Couple more here. You guys wish to bring up a topic? How you doing, FyrBorne? Good on time and everything? I know we've been going for almost 3 hours. My God.
I talk a lot. It's okay.
And thank you guys all for staying up so late. If you miss any of this, you can watch on the YouTube channel afterwards. Okay. All right. Vengeance has a topic here. Can we talk about the fact that medics can heal themselves infinitely all the time? I know it's not discussed much more, but it's an issue in the game considering the other classes' healing abilities. Yeah, that could be definitely a concern for most people, and how that the medic class can be maybe OP for having the infinite heal. What do you think about this, Fire?
As a medic main myself, I say leave it alone. I'm just kidding. Medic,
Yeah.
especially with the change to the TTK, is extremely overpowered in any average lobby. If you are average or better and you're a medic in an average or lower lobby, you are overpowered beyond all belief. The damage over range is abysmal, and unless you get hit by a sniper, which, I mean, let's be honest, that happens a lot. I mean, it still takes them hitting 3 shots with almost no time in between on the reload or on the rechamber to kill you.
Yeah.
That's 3. Like, and we're coming from Battlefield 1 where they have to graze your armpit with a sniper to kill you once. Like, that's ridiculous. The self-heal on medic is frequent, and it's really, really strong in the current TTK. In the previous TTK, it made sense because, you know, you were still going to die. You're like, oh, I got hit. I'm going to hit. I'm dead. Now it's like death by paper cuts, and you're just like, Band-Aid here, Band-Aid here, Band-Aid here, get up close, 2A, win the game. And
when you get hit by literally, and look, if you get hit by fire on the ground, people are going to bandage up because it lets you know, like, you are sustaining, it feels like you're sustaining heavy damage no matter what hits you.
Right.
And it's just now, I mean, go from playing Battlefield for 1,000 hours to go play Modern Warfare. What's the first thing you want to put? You want to put that freaking syringe that you stab yourself with to heal yourself all the time. The stim pack.
Yep.
It's this reactionary now. They kind of, you know, we've been trained to do such a thing. So
yeah, I flashbang myself all the time. All the time. Just like, oh, I'm hurt, heal, flashbang, crap, dead. Yeah, I'm not a particular fan of the attrition system. I'm not a particular fan of the specific medic changes, being that of the revive time or the self-healing and limitations for everybody else. I understand it was them doing, in effect, a chance at trying to change up the game. Like I always, you know, I say, cool, I'm glad y'all are trying different things. I understand that they wanted to build something that was more quote-unquote visceral. Not everything's a quick action and jerky movements. Something actually has a animation that goes to it. It shows they give time and care about what you're doing. And it was a good chance to show off your cosmetics. But honestly, I think that it was painful for the gameplay. It's painful for the community to have to learn and adapt to. And it causes a lot of issues on balancing as well. So
I got you.
Yes.
You mentioned one thing here in your vehicle breakdown video, I believe. I think it's somewhere around here where you mentioned the attrition
For vehicle
system.
combat,
Let's take a listen here real quick.
infantry combat coming to now in the Battlefield
I won't be
series
able to
is
hear it,
our
so you do
vehicles
it.
had unlimited
Okay, one
ammo
second.
at their disposal. That is not the case anymore, and Battlefield 5 reminded me of that frequently.
There
So
you go.
we're not going to deal too much with pilotry, but we're going to dive a little bit more into the tanks in the battle as well. Next, we're going to be dropping into a tank, and you're going to notice that it also does not feature unlimited ammo. There will be a lot of you who will rejoice on this idea, because now that means that sitting on the edge of the map and firing down on the hill from the unsuspecting corners and taking out infantry, that way will no longer be the primary focus of tankers. Now, granted, I'm sure there will be people who will find a way to do so, but currently the tanks will not be able to sit out on a hill for the entire match. And it will be very, very wonderful to have that be so.
Okay, so you weren't able to hear any of that?
no, I don't have your audio running because otherwise I'd hear you twice.
All right. Okay, so basically what you're talking about in the vehicle breakdown video is the tanks also have attrition as well, and that you won't see other tanks on top of hills shooting at you.
You shouldn't.
Right. And that was something you were looking forward to because this was during like a pre-alpha build.
Yep.
And well, sure enough, not too long after that pre-alpha build, you still have tanks shooting
Mhm.
from those, hills and mountains from far away. Merida
Yep.
is a really, really good one.
Mhm.
So what do you think they should go even crazier on the attrition when it comes to vehicles? Because I feel like they need to. Those guys are staying out there forever, man. And there's like they could just resupply like 20 feet from where those specific areas are.
I think that a large portion of the issues comes from one, the open lines of sight from their ammo boxes. Pretty much wherever they repair and get ammo from, usually is in line of sight of a objective anyway, so they kind of sit there. And then two, I think that the tanks were far too weak for the longest time, where they weren't able to actually get in there and do actual damage. And so they've got to the point where they're god tier tanking, and they just are still playing at the way they did when they were paper planes or paper tanks. And so you've unfortunately enough buffed them to where they survive more, but haven't encouraged them to get onto the objective. I wish they would go more towards the old like engineer route where you actually had to work with a team to run a tank rather than tanks that are these still solo team killing things that sit on hills. I'd like to see like a person drive, a person cannon, and a person, machine gun, rather than one person drive cannon, machine gun, and then have one person who goes to the suicide seat on the top and dies in 2 seconds.
Gotcha.
Like actual engineers repairing stuff and running parts in the thing. So,
do you think they should get rid of health attrition?
I do. I understand that it's probably impossible now. I completely support medics being able to heal you faster and more often, but I don't like being stuck at like 15 HP with like with Dr. Doolittle literally sitting in the water trying to chase the whale over here. Like I'm like, hey, hey, heal me. I'm glad they added the hardline thing where you can like pull it off of them if they have boxes, but who's a medic that run a box anymore? Like everybody runs the packs. Like they even did the aura for the boxes, and they're doing everything they can to be like, hey, here, I'm a medic, let me help you. But then you just get people that aren't willing to work as a team. And on a game that's built on the idea of working as a team, failure to work as a team is just it's just shooting your own game in the foot.
Gotcha. Okay. Next one here. Wow, there's a lot of people. Oh my god, I don't think we're gonna be able to get through all these. I'm about to die here pretty soon. Let's just go through all of them. Why not, right? Okay. Tombstone Mercenary. Would you like to see all weapons be available at launch, and then make slight variants throughout, or keep the current system? Oof. I kind of like let me answer this one real quick here, FyrBorne. No. The vanilla maps, the vanilla guns, yeah, sure, like you're going to have a good amount of guns for variety's sake, but to just have variants along the ride will be kind of boring in my opinion. If you're having a journey through World War II like they're having now in Battlefield 5, I like to see drops of 4 or 5 weapons during a new chapter or something like that, and new ones and exciting ones, and we're kind of getting that now. It's just not as often as I like, because we're getting like skins sometimes, or tier skips. like I would rather have maps and weapons as content instead of customized skins. Like,
right.
I grew up with Battlefield. We didn't care about skins in Battlefield till Battlefield 1.
Right.
Why should we care about it now? I mean, maybe it's just a new era. Whatever. But yeah, I don't want all weapons to be available at launch. I want more as the game progresses over time. What do you think, Fire?
I like new guns being released across the game. I would like more consistency to which we get the content. I would prefer not get 3 guns in 1 month and then not see another for 7. I'd rather get one every two or something like that. The idea of having all the guns at the start and then getting variants of the guns isn't terrible, but it's definitely not preferred, because then we get back to the idea of power creep. When you start releasing these new variants, like, why are the old variants even matter anymore if you start getting these new variants that are going to be obviously better or anything like that? And so I feel like if we ended up with everything at the beginning, we might not have any use for the old ones by the time we get to the new ones again. So
Right. Yeah, and I'll run out my 1,000 kill challenge. What am I gonna do?
Right.
Okay, Thor has it going here. What do you think it would take for a lot of issues you have to get fixed, better management, more resources, etc.? Do you think we as a community know enough to trust the future of the game? Louis, do you want to answer that one?
The biggest thing that they would need to fix the game is time. Resources is going to help a lot, but you can only throw so much money at a thing. They have an extra year compared to the previous titles, so there's a good chance that they have the time. If the companies are willing to put in the time, they're obviously putting in the money, because that means they have to pay for these people running it. So time is always the most expensive thing that you'll ever deal with in a company, because you have limited people with limited time, which means that's what you have to deal with first. After that, the money is going to be whatever they feel like they have to use. So to fix the game, time. Outside of that, faith is only something that can be earned, and we believed in them in Bad Company. We believed in them in 3. We reluctantly somehow believed in them through 4 as well. And we got Battlefield 1, which is a huge one for a lot of people. It wasn't my favorite one out of all of them, but it was still a great one. And maybe Battlefield 5 will be a great one by the time it's all said and done. But realistically, if you're a fan of the series, you've been playing it for a long time, realistically nowadays it comes down to those alphas and betas and just seeing if it's something you want to do. I mean, you can only offer them as much faith as you're willing to waste on them that you would like. At no point am I ever going to tell you, hey, just believe everything they're going to tell you or believe everything they're going to do. But I will tell you that, for the companies that I've worked with, which is quite a few now, I know that the guys over at DICE at least love what they do. Does it always make the best game or the most balanced game or even the most fun game? No, not always. But they love what they're doing, and they want you to try to love it too. And so at least we have a community that's extremely passionate and willing to tell them when we think it could be better or what they should do. The biggest thing that as a community we need to work on is communicating it properly, constructively, not hatefully. And the biggest thing they need to work on as a community lead for us is communication and consistency, because we are suffering highly from a lack of communication. We don't know what we're dealing with, and that does make frustrations. And we're suffering highly on consistency because, as you all have already said, the bugs are out of control. The errors are out of control. Performance is poor, and what we're getting is not what we want. And the more open levels of communication we can get from us to them constructively and from them to us critically, the better these games will end up being. So,
yeah, I don't like how it kind of turned into. Well, I like how it was before, where when they introduced new content, they had a live stream. They talked to us like, this is how we made it. This is why we made it this way. Here's someone playing it in the background, and we just talk about, what we're doing to move forward, right? And what we could have really used was a TTK one, but we just got blog posts and Reddit posts. I don't like how everything just turned into, go read the blog for, more information, or the whole This Week in Battlefield thing. Yeah, we're not dumb, dude. It's just it's
Right.
copying. You're just copy and pasting what you did from last week. It's not his fault though. It's just they don't give them a lot of. They don't give the community managers a lot of information. Is what I'm getting at. Because man, if new information had come out officially, Jeff is going to tell us, or Adam's going to tell us straight up. They're not saying anything because they don't have anything. Is what I'm quickly learning here.
Yep.
You're not trying to hide anything from the community. It's just I don't know. The devs need to have probably better communication with the community managers at this point, and I hope they do that going forward. I think they need. I think Jeff maybe. I don't want to tell him how to do his job, but this week in Battlefield could be something that people can look forward to. I was thinking maybe when they had the contest, the NVIDIA contest, like show off a YouTube video of and react to it, perhaps, and maybe show a progress in that whole thing, perhaps. Be on camera more often. Which they kind of used to do. Hey, the Solomon Islands trailer, the release trailer, had Art Welsh or Adam talk to you in the trailer and explain the cool things that are in the new map. I was like, that's cool. It's not just here's us fragging and there's a whole bunch of cool explosions going on. Like I like that. Like that's a step in the right way, and Adam's been a great addition to the community manager. He is amazing. When he first came up, I think in the EA Play, he had that that Letterman jacket on and told us about. Man, he's a great host and whatnot. And I think we need to see him a little bit more talking about Battlefield 5. All right, I wish that, but I don't know what DICE wants to do. It's just I wish the community managers played more Battlefield 5 than other games. I'm just saying. I'm just mentioning that. But I'm not gonna tell them how to do their jobs.
Right.
Okay. All right. We've been going on for 3 hours and 11 minutes. My God. I'm sure you guys are sick of us talking about this game. But any other last minute topics you guys want to discuss, use the channel points or through donations. I'll definitely answer them, or Fire will answer them. If not, forever hold your peace, because I'm about to go to bed soon. But
or you could just encourage Julian to have me back.
Yeah, or we could do
for another time.
a part 2 for sure. If you guys got nothing else, then we will move on here. And okay, I can't even think anymore. But that's pretty much it. Oh God, a tombstone comes in here. Okay, all right, we got something. How much influence do you feel the instant gratification of today's gamers has hurt the industry?
I think I wouldn't say even instant gratification has ruined it. I think
a lot.
our expectations. I think that we constantly say that we had a lot of what we expect out of everything ruined by the current market, not necessarily in instant gratification, but in the consistency and the requirement to put stuff out. Fortnite themselves burnt a hole in everybody's budget
because they did it so well.
Yeah, they came out, they made something that was unique for them, I guess, with a market strategy that was unique to them, with a release speed that was unique to them, and much like when Modern Warfare, the first one, came out and just destroyed how every other game had to work, everybody else is trying to do the same thing. And I think that these companies that did not invent the style, that did not invent the way or the style of updating, that did not invent the speed of updating, that did not invent all the things trying to copy these people, are not put together to do it, and they don't know what needs to be done. And I think that they would have been better to do hybrids and work their way in slowly. But unfortunately enough, the issue I don't think again is instant gratification. It's the failure to understand what we actually want and provide it.
Yeah, there could be a false sense of that kind of gratification. So,
yeah,
I mean, you don't want to. Sometimes companies they're just greedy. Sometimes, and if this works, I mean, look how FIFA took off.
Mm-hmm.
It was, those surprise mechanics EA's talking about are fun. They state, and there's a lot of people that agree with that. They think opening packs are fun. And it took the people as all around the world and legislation to actually shut them up on that. And now we don't see battle packs anymore like we did in the previous game. So they have to reinvent that whole thing.
Yep.
Thus the birth of live service gaming. And I guess when I was thinking of how Battlefield would approach live service, I was like, oh, they'll just do premium. Just, every 3 or 4 months, they'll drop three maps and 5 guns and just keep doing on that till the next Battlefield game comes out.
Right.
But it all comes down to execution, and that's a lot of money. That costs a lot of money. So I'll definitely highlight that segment in this show where you talk about your idea for that. And I think it's really cool for sure. All right, next one here.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Thoughts on a Amiens remaster?
No.
No?
Nope.
Amiens?
So
I like city maps.
I love city maps. Urban fighting is literally my #1 favorite thing for shooters. I hate anything that features remakes. And I only do it because I think people get so stuck on nostalgia and so stuck on remakes that companies begin to use those things as a crutch opposed to making new things.
Like you must hate Wake Island because
I hate Wake Island. Holy shit! It's literally just I can't. I can't play Wake Island again, and I still do. But like, I think that I hate remade games, remade movies, remade maps. I hate it when things are used in attempts to hit nostalgia, but are really just they're safe plays. They're safe plays with no return because people get bored of them so fast. So they spend all this time and all this money to remake these things that end up being something that you say to yourself, I've done this a bunch before. And people are more willing to throw it to the wayside. And even if it's not a direct one-to-one remake, it still took them a long time to remake that. And so now they've put all this time and all this effort into something that people are going to dismiss and get rid of.
I see this a lot. This whole remaster BF3, remaster BF4.
Yeah, I hate that idea. I tell people that every time.
I don't think DICE I like that either. I think they're afraid of doing that.
Like, how many of you out there are playing Halo on PC right now? I'm going to tell you, it's not many of you. You know why? Because we've done it before, and we've done it a lot. We did it even longer after it's already dead, and now we've dug up the dead horse, we beat it with more sticks, and now we don't even have a hole to put it back in because we already filled that hole with more shit.
And Warcraft 3
yeah, we have...
Oh, boy.
We have a Warcraft, what is it, Vanilla?
Warcraft, yeah, classic.
Yeah, Warcraft Classic. And so that came out, and everybody, like, dove into it, and then the first thing they did was like, hey, did you know the spawns are wrong, right? And it's like, oh, no, that was a post-patch, and then you're like, and then they're like, oh, but you're going to fix it, and they're like, no, it's Classic. It's before all the patches. Oh, so I'm going to wait for 4 hours for this mob to respawn? Yeah, you better hope you kill it.
And another one, you mentioned movies. Disney's The Lion King. You watched that?
I did, and I'm pissed because Pumbaa Never did the hula. That's all I wanted.
I know. That's disgraceful. They took all the magic out of that goddamn movie. What were they thinking?
So,
Okay.
Gnome, here's the thing. Yes, there's a shit ton of people playing WoW Classic. And you said the subscription's more than doubled since release. Also true. That doesn't make it the best motion. Because now you got all these people playing the shit they've already played. Where is it going forward? It's not. What are they going to do? Release Battle of Azeroth on it next? No, because it's not WoW Classic anymore. It's a dead. It's literally dead. Like it can't go any further than Classic. When you go all the way forward and then go all the way back, where do you go? You can't go anywhere. Like it's the same shit as the people who are still playing RuneScape. Like I'm proud of you if you love that game because you know what? Rock it. I can't tell you not to play it. I want you to enjoy it. I don't want to touch it. Like I did it.
Yeah, and what they did for Warcraft 3, I mean, the people who like the original Warcraft 3 can't play it because you're forced to play the remastered. Oh man, Blizzard's really blowing it right now. Okay, let's move on here. Do you think they will step back and fully diagnose the problems if they plan to devote the time? I think they're going to try to devote the time. Maybe they don't have as big as a team as they used to have, but they got time now. And I think they can. I think they can do it for sure. Do you think they can do it, Fire?
I mean, they did it to Battlefield 4, and that thing was a hot mess too. So yeah, why not?
But they don't have Dice LA anymore.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
We're doomed. We're doomed. Okay, let's see. You guys are great freaking chatting the whole time. Unbelievable. This is probably one of the biggest shows we've had here. I appreciate you guys so much for talking with me and Fire. This really has been a great show. Unfortunately, I gotta end it. And we'll get you on back, Fire, for a part 2 and a part 3 for sure. There's a lot more to talk about. And when 6.2 drops, woo! There's going to be a whole lot to talk about. And because sometimes it's a make or break. It's a make or break for a lot of people. 6.2, expect some stuff coming up next week. Hopefully we'll see something. Announcement of announcement. I can use that. And Fire, you host the Friday night Battlefields every Friday night.
Xbox.
For Xbox. So be sure if you guys play on Xbox, go join up with FyrBorne on that and on twitch.tv/FyrBorne. You'll see him on there. Coming up in a couple months, you'll be having some charity events, stackup.org, or I don't know if that starts in April or May, but St. Jude Summit is coming up as well. Tell us a little bit more about the St. Jude Summit.
So the St. Jude Summit specifically, it brings a lot of the content creators for the Go Play Live is what the event's called. Brings a lot of content creators around. We go out to Memphis. We go to the St. Jude campus. We go over how much was raised last year, what they used the money for, and then we go over what we're looking to raise this year and what the money's going towards. Like last year, they raised, I think it was like $2.2 million with the help of the wonderful people like Dr. Lupo. And it helped them buy a radiation laser specifically for children. Before that, they were having to fly children all the way to Florida for the children-specific laser. So now they have their own one that helps do directed tumor disintegration and stuff like that. They have a bunch of wonderful, wonderful people and wonderful things they work with out at the St. Jude Center in Memphis. And so we band together as a community and we raise money for St. Jude and try to help eradicate childhood cancer and other, children's lifelong diseases. Through the help of St. Jude, we've turned leukemia from it was like 15% survival rate to like 90% in children. So it's something crazy. It's ridiculous turned around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been over the last 10 years working with St. Jude. They've also helped. Actually, most recently, St. Jude performed one of the first ever. It was AIDS cure, where they ended up turning a AIDS virus into the actual cure by replacing its DNA that hunted down and gave. No, what was it? Okay. So they used a deconstructed AIDS virus and injected it with a human immunosystem to give children born without immune systems. So they were able to reverse engineer the AIDS virus. So that was pretty crazy. But they just keep doing all this crazy stuff, and so we help them by providing this research money by doing the fundraisers and such. And then also St. Jude's is one of the only hospitals, major research centers in the world that also makes all of their research public. So they do it for no money, no monetary turnaround. They don't like turn this into like privatized research that becomes big money for them. They do all their research for public, and so they help children all over the world. So it's amazing.
Hell yeah, man. Like Mongo Fury says, science.
Science.
That's awesome. And that'll be somewhat in April, perhaps?
Yes, we're going to have the St. Jude Summit in April, which means we will be doing the fundraisers for, I think it's April, so it would be the month of May. There will be lots and lots of content creators doing the St. Jude fundraising.
I gotta get in on that, man. I gotta
yes,
get in on that. I think that'll be good.
So if Julian does donate to his cause, you'll help. You'll help hundreds of thousands of children. Also, another important thing to know about St. Jude is the families and the children pay nothing the entire time they're there through all of their treatments. All of it is provided by St. Jude. They don't pay for their tickets there, their housing there, their food there, their medicine, their stay, and everything on the way back. All of it is covered by St. Jude. So no child or their family has to go into immense debt to be able to get the health and safety they need. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I'll have to get on that. It's easy to sign up for something like that. Yeah, you just go to their
super easy
website and then participate. Yeah.
Through Twitch, you can go to tiltify.com and you can sign up and make a thing for that. It's Tiltify. Yeah, and it links straight up to Streamlabs, and so you can go straight through that.
Tiltify.
Yep. Yep.
I do have a connection with one of streamers that do that. They're willing to help me out with that. So I might do that. Maybe this time or the next time. That'll be cool. Okay, guys.
It'd be wonderful to have you. So
that'll be awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this 3.5-hour Battlefield show, episode number 19 with the legendary FyrBorne. Thank you so much for chatting with me. We'll definitely try to get you on again soon. And everybody in the chat, my God, you guys have been incredible bringing in your topics. Hopefully I was able to answer as many as I could. I appreciate you guys, all the raids, all the new followers. Welcome. Don't forget to check out my dude FyrBorne. He streams. What's your schedule looking like right now?
Tuesday through Saturday, beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Now you know what to do. Click on his name right there in the chat. Hit that follow button. And if you guys enjoy the Battlefield show and want to support it, also hit the follow button here. We'll be doing another one next week, next Saturday, with a special guest coming from the Console Boys side. That's all the hints you're going to get. Okay, everybody, we're going to go raid somebody, so stick around. And then we'll say our goodbyes, Fire. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody. See you later.